Chapter 124. Shrugging, Ningyu sat on a chair and closed his eyes. You! Seeing Ningyu ignore him, Gao Shi wished for nothing more than to rush forward and kill Ningyu. However, he knew very well that he couldn't fight Ningyu head-on at this critical juncture. No matter who won or lost, it would not benefit him. After all, this was the black market. Ningyu, do you dare to make a bet with me? Gao Shi rolled his eyes and suddenly said. Raising an eyebrow, Ningyu asked calmly, what kind of bet? What Ningyu feared the least was a bet. Ever since his rebirth, he had never lost a bet. Now that Gao Shi wanted to bet with him, how could he refuse? Simple, as long as the fifth realm alchemist does not come, I want the meridian repairing Dan you just bought. Gao Shi said confidently. What if the fifth realm alchemist comes? Ningyu asked. Pa! Slapping the black cloud sword on the table, Gao Shi said coldly, as long as the fifth realm alchemist comes, this black cloud sword is yours. How about it? Do you dare to bet with me? When luck comes, it cannot be stopped. Shrugging, Ningyu said calmly, since you want to give me the black cloud sword, I have no reason not to accept it. Aren't you afraid that the wind will cut your tongue? Gao Shi smiled, as if the meridian repairing Dan was waving at him. Young Master Ning, fifth-tier alchemists have always been very arrogant. If you do this, I'm afraid. As a deacon of Dan King House, Old who was very clear about the arrogance of fifth-tier alchemists, if there was nothing that could satisfy them, they would not personally come to meet others. Usually, it was others who humbly asked for a fifth-realm alchemist. Alchemists like Ningyu were very rare. He, Elder Hu, I know what I'm doing. Smiling, Ningyu said calmly. All right. Elder Hu sighed softly and said. At the same time, in another luxurious room, Wu Tao passed the paper to a white-bearded old man and said, Senior Mu Tuo, the person who took out the trident wants to see you. This is what he wants me to give you. The white-bearded old man received the white paper and flipped through it a few times before casually tossing it away. He said in a low voice, Wu Tao, didn't I tell you? I'm not satisfied with the mid-grade Earth-rank magic treasures they took out, so I won't meet anyone. They can forget about obtaining the top-grade meridian cultivation pill. Senior Mu Tuo, I've been rude. Please go ahead with your business. I'll take my leave. Wu Tao had already guessed this result, so he wasn't too surprised. He cupped his hands and was about to leave the room. However, as soon as he stepped out of the room, Wu Tao seemed to think of something. He turned around and said, That's right, Senior Mu Tuo, that person made a strange hand seal. Do you want to take a look? There's no need. You can leave first. Mu Tuo waved his hand and said, All right. After bidding farewell to Mu Tuo, Wu Tao retraced his steps. Creak. Pushing open the door, Wu Tao returned to the room where Ningyu and the others were. I'm sorry, my fifth-tier alchemist friend is a little busy, so... Wu Tao apologized to Ningyu after entering the room. Ha ha ha, kid, hand over the meridian cultivation pill. Hearing this, before Ningyu could speak, Gao Shi burst into laughter and said, I've said it before. Who do you think you are? How honorable is a fifth-tier alchemist? Why would he come out to meet you? This doesn't make sense. Could it be that the soul-nourishing method I gave him is too advanced? A fifth-tier alchemist can't understand it? Frowning deeply, Ningyu found it hard to believe. Actually, on the white paper was the soul-nourishing method he had inscribed using his soul energy. It was very effective in recovering one's weak soul after concocting a pill. Ordinary alchemists would experience a period of weakness after concocting a pill. With the soul-nourishing method, the period of weakness could be greatly reduced. Logically speaking, as long as one was an alchemist, they would be very interested in this soul-nourishing method. Ningyu asked, President Wu, I wonder if you have shown the handprint to your friend? The handprint was the first form of the spiritual energy-gathering handprint. Even if a fifth-tier alchemist couldn't understand the soul-nourishing method, He should be able to understand the spiritual energy gathering handprint. This. Wu Tao was a little embarrassed. After all, he hadn't even shown the handprint before he was thrown out. I understand now. Only now did Ning Yu understand. Since Wu Tao didn't show the handprint, it was obvious that the fifth-tier alchemist didn't probe the white paper with his soul energy. As for the soul-nourishing method, he naturally didn't discover it. Kid, you have to accept your loss. Hurry up and hand over the meridian cultivation pill, Gaosher said coldly. Humph. The meridian cultivation pill is yours. With a cold snort, Ning Yu raised his wrist, wanting to throw the meridian cultivation pill to Gaosher. However, before he could throw the meridian cultivation pill to Gaosher, Ning Yu put down his palm and kept the meridian cultivation pill. Seeing Ning Yu's action, Gaosher was furious. He said angrily, Kid, you won't go back on your words, will you? I advise you to hand over the meridian cultivation pill as soon as possible. Otherwise, even with Wu Tao's protection, I will kill you. Ning Yu, you have to accept your loss. I can't help you, Wu Tao said. Young Master Ning, you have lost. Shaking his head, Elder Hu said. The corner of his mouth curled up into a mysterious smile. Ning Yu said, Do you all think I have lost? Not necessarily. Not necessarily? Kid, are you living in a dream? Laughing evilly, Gaosher said, I will say it one last time, hand over the meridian cultivation pill. Bang! Before Gaosher could finish his sentence, the sound of a door being kicked open rang out in the room. Following that, a white-bearded elder quickly walked in. In his hand was a piece of white paper. Wu Tao, who gave me this piece of paper? Mu Tuo hurriedly asked after entering. Seeing Mu Tuo's anxious expression, Wu Tao was somewhat dumbfounded. Ever since he had known Mu Tuo, he had never seen him like this. I was the one who asked President Wu to give it to you. Taking a step forward, Ning Yu said without batting an eyelid. It's you. Looking at Ning Yu, Mu Tuo's eyes brightened. Where's the second half? Quickly hand it over. Mu Tuo's tone made Ning Yu a little unhappy. However, when he thought of the fatal temptation of the method of nourishing one's soul to an alchemist, he suppressed the displeasure in his heart and said, It's not impossible if you want the second half. Give me the meridian cultivation pill in exchange. As he spoke, Ning Yu's figure flashed. Before Mu Tuo could react, he had snatched the piece of paper. Moreover, a wisp of flame appeared on his finger. You. The sudden change caused Mu Tuo to turn pale with fright. He hurriedly took a step forward, intending to snatch the piece of paper back. However, he was obviously a step too late. The piece of paper had already been burnt to ashes by the dancing flame on Ning Yu's fingertip. Seeing this, Mu Tuo's chest heaved unsteadily. He was extremely angry. Chapter 125. I've said it before, use a peak-grade meridian cultivation pill to exchange for the second half. Ning Yu turned around and sat on a chair as he spoke calmly. Compared to the peak-grade meridian cultivation pill, Ning Yu's method of nourishing the soul was much more valuable. If Ning Yu announced it, many people would be willing to exchange the peak-grade meridian cultivation pill for the method of nourishing the soul. Moreover, Ning Yu discovered that Mu Tuo was not an ordinary fifth-grade pill refiner. In other words, Mu Tuo's soul must have been severely injured. His current soul strength was only at the fourth-grade level. Therefore, Mu Tuo urgently needed the method of nourishing the soul. Good, very good. Mu Tuo's expression turned cold as he said in a low voice, I am a fifth-grade pill refiner. Even a primal core realm martial artist has to be respectful when they see me. How dare you speak to me like this? Kid, you're finished. Do you know the power of a fifth-grade pill refiner? Gaosher snorted. I almost forgot if you didn't mention it. Thank you for your black cloud sword. Standing up abruptly, Ning Yu's figure shot out and grasped the black cloud sword in his hand, a mid-grade earth-rank black cloud sword. Not bad. Kid. My black cloud sword. Ning Yu's actions caused Gao Shi's expression to darken completely. He clenched his fists and said hatefully, "If you know what's good for you, return the black cloud sword to me. Otherwise, I'll teach you a lesson." Shrugging, Ning Yu placed the black cloud sword into his storage ring and said, "I've always been a good-looking person. I don't need your help." Enough. At this moment, Mu Tuo's powerful soul pressure was unleashed as he said coldly to Ning Yu, "The peak-grade meridian cultivation pill is extremely valuable. Give me the complete method first, then I'll give you the peak-grade meridian cultivation pill." "Hee, do you think I'm a 3-year-old? With a faint smile, Ning Yu said, "You should know very well how valuable the method of nourishing the soul is. You've earned a lot by exchanging a peak-grade meridian cultivation pill for it. I won't beat around the bush with you. Hand over the supreme-grade meridian cultivating pill, and I'll write you the complete method." As soon as Ning Yu's words fell, Mu Tuo's expression became extremely cold. He suddenly unleashed all of his soul power, crazily suppressing Ning Yu. Whoosh! The expressions of everyone in the room changed slightly when they sensed the spiritual pressure coming from Mu Tuo. They could not help but take a few steps back. Peak rank 4. Although Mu Tuo's soul had been severely damaged, he still possessed the strength of a peak rank 4. Ning Yu didn't expect Mu Tuo to be so ungrateful, actually wanting to gain something for nothing. He wasn't even willing to take out a top-grade meridian cultivating pill. With a cold snort, Ning Yu grasped the Absolute Soul Sword and pointed it forward. "Who?" The soul-severing sword light slashed through the air, slashing towards Mu Tuo's soul pressure. "Chi!" A clear voice rang out, and then Mu Tuo's eyes narrowed. He hurriedly withdrew his soul force back into his body. "Kid! Who the hell are you?" Taking a few steps back, Mu Tuo glared at Ning Yu. "Who I am isn't important. What's important is that I've changed my mind. The top-grade meridian cultivating pill can only be exchanged for the first half of the soul-nourishing method," Ning Yu said indifferently. The Absolute Soul Sword was a heaven-grade devouring flying sword. It had a fatal suppressive effect on soul force. In addition, the strength of Ning Yu's soul force was also at the 4th rank, while Mu Tuo's soul force was only at the peak of the 4th rank. It was only natural that the Absolute Soul Sword cut through Mu Tuo's spiritual pressure. Originally, Ning Yu had wanted to use the entire set of soul-nourishing methods to exchange for a top-grade meridian cultivating pill. Now that he saw Mu Tuo's arrogant side, he decided to change his mind and only use half of the method to exchange for a top-grade meridian cultivating pill. "Alright, I'll trade with you." After a moment of silence, Mu Tuo flicked his wrist, and a top-grade meridian cultivating pill appeared in his hand. "This is a top-grade meridian cultivating pill. You have to let me see the soul-nourishing method first, right?" "You've already seen it." Ning Yu did not want to talk nonsense with Mu Tuo here. He stood up and walked out of the room. "If you want to trade, give me the top-grade meridian cultivating pill. Otherwise, I can only say sorry. Here you go." Seeing that Ning Yu was about to leave, Mu Tuo gritted his teeth and threw the top-grade meridian cultivating pill to Ning Yu. Receiving the top-grade meridian cultivating pill, Ning Yu took out a piece of white paper from his storage ring and placed it on the table. Swoosh! Seeing the white paper, Mu Tuo hurriedly took a step forward, and his soul force entered the white paper. "Elder Hu, let's go." Since his goal had been achieved, there was no need for Ning Yu to stay here. In the next moment, he left the black market with Elder Hu. "Wu Tao. Who the hell is that kid?" After Ning Yu and the others left, Mu Tuo asked in a deep voice, "Do you know his background?" "Senior Mu Tuo, based on my guess, he should be the son or daughter of the top management of the Royal Pill Tower." After a moment of silence, Wu Tao said what he was thinking. "The old man who left with him is a deacon of the Royal Pill Tower." "The Royal Pill Tower?" Hearing this, Mu Tuo was slightly taken aback. He then said, "No wonder you can give me the method to nourish the soul. Senior Mu Tua, that brat Ning Yu is so arrogant that he dares to disrespect you. If there's anything I can help you with, just say it. Gao Shi's eyes rolled, and he patted his chest. Gao Shi knew that Mu Tua must hate Ning Yu very much right now, and even wanted to kill him. Since that was the case, he might as well do Mu Tua a favor and help him. After all, to be able to help a 5th-grade alchemist, it would be of great benefit to him. Moreover, he was going to contact Old Xiu to kill Ning Yu anyway. To be able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone was naturally a good thing. Raising his eyebrows, Mu Tua said calmly, "Actually, it's nothing much. I just want to let Ning Yu know the meaning of respect." "I understand." The corner of Gao Shi's mouth curled up, and he smiled evilly. After bidding farewell to Old Hu, Ning Yu rushed out of Bright Ruler City. This time, Ning Yu was very satisfied with his trip to Bright Ruler City. Initially, he thought that buying a high-grade meridian repairing pill was good enough. Who would have thought that he would get a supreme meridian repairing pill? The supreme meridian repairing pill was very effective in repairing tendons and veins. With the supreme meridian repairing pill, I believe that grandfather's tendons and veins will be completely healed. After leaving Bright Ruler City, Ning Yu pushed off the ground and pushed his speed to the limit, rushing toward Tianxian City. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. However, not long after Ning Yu left Bright Ruler City, a large number of cultivators appeared in front of him, blocking his way. "Ha, Ning Yu, you are very fast. If I had not been prepared, I'm afraid that you would have escaped." At this moment, a figure walked out from the crowd, laughing loudly. He stopped in front of Ning Yu and said with a sinister smile, "Today, I will tear you to pieces with my own hands." Li Nan. Looking at the familiar figure in front of him, Ning Yu's face darkened and he said, "I have no time to waste with you here. If you know what's good for you, get out of here. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." "You want me to get out? You want to be rude to me?" Chapter 126. Idiot. Glancing at Li Nan, Ning Yu's figure flashed as he flew into the distance. "Stop him." Seeing that Ning Yu was about to leave, Li Nan shouted. Then, the surrounding cultivators all made their move. "Since you are seeking death, don't blame me." A cold voice came from Ning Yu's mouth. He suddenly took a step forward, causing sand and pebbles to fly and the hard ground to crack. Ning Yu waved his sleeves and an extremely violent yuan qi fluctuation shot up to the sky like thunder from the 9th heaven. Whoosh! In the next moment, the violent yuan qi suddenly exploded, turning into countless small yuan qi light balls, attacking the martial artists that were surrounding him. Chi chi chi. The surrounding martial artists were mostly at the early Xian Tian level. How could they withstand Ning Yu's fierce attack? With a few swishing sounds, the martial artists surrounding Ning Yu fell to the ground, their breathing weak. Overestimating yourself. With Ning Yu's current strength, he did not need to use his full strength to deal with the early Xian Tian level martial artists. He did not even need to use 10% of his strength to defeat them. Li Nan did not expect Ning Yu to be so strong that dozens of early Xian Tian level martial artists could not do anything to him. Instead, they were defeated by him in one move. With this kind of strength, perhaps only the peak Xian Tian level martial artists could contend with him. Damn it! Cursing in his heart, Li Nan's eyes darkened and he said coldly, "Ning Yu, I admit that you are very strong. Just you wait and see." "Leave? Where do you want to go? Did I say you could leave?" Ning Yu said lightly with his fists cupped. Stopping, Li Nan said, "What do you want?" After thinking for a while, Ning Yu said, "You can leave, but leave your things behind." "Ning Yu, don't go too far." Li Nan said angrily. "You have 2 choices now. First, leave everything on you. Second." At this point, Ning Yu paused for a moment before coldly saying, "Die." As soon as the word "die" left his mouth, a monstrous aura emanated from Ning Yu's body and suppressed Li Nan in an instant. Thump! Feeling the pressure of such a powerful aura, Li Nan's legs felt like they were being crushed by thousands of kilograms of rocks, causing him to kneel on the ground with a thud. Clenching his teeth, Li Nan spat, "It won't be that easy to get what I have on me. You're still so stubborn even though you're about to die. Fine, I'll finish you off." Ningyu took a step forward. With a flick of his wrist, an illusory fist projection appeared. Whoosh! Then, the illusory fist aura shot out and gradually expanded in Li Nan's eyes. "Brat, you dare to kill my son?" However, just as Li Nan was about to give up, a low roar sounded out. Then, the illusory fist aura seemed to be disturbed and actually stopped in front of Li Nan. The brief pause of the illusory fist caused Ningyu to knit his brows slightly. After that, a cold smile appeared on the corners of his mouth as he looked at the man that was charging towards him. His right hand grabbed at the air, and instantly, a powerful ball of yuan qi appeared in his hand. Then, with a flick of his finger, it shot towards the man's face. "You're like a mantis trying to stop a chariot." With a cold roar, the man swung both his fists. Fist shadows flickered and countless rays of fist aura shot out, colliding with the violent yuan qi ball. Bang! When the flickering fist aura and the violent yuan qi collided, there was no shocking explosion, only a muffled sound. Bang! But very quickly, the man's body was hit by the first illusory fist aura from Ningyu. He directly retreated a few feet, and his face was deathly pale. "There's a path to heaven, but you refuse to take it. There's no door to hell, but you barge in." After repelling Li Gang, Ningyu's face turned cold, and he once again rose from the ground. Human Desolation Palm. With a flick of his wrist, a human-shaped palm was formed in an instant, and with a shocking speed, it violently blasted towards Li Gang. Poochie! In the next moment, the human desolation palm bombarded Li Gang's body. The huge impact caused him to spit out a mouthful of dark red blood, and his aura became a little weak. The 8 Desolation Palm was a soul attack spell. Although the human Desolation Palm was only the first palm, it was still very powerful. Moreover, Li Gang's cultivation was only at the Xiantian full circle, so naturally, he was not a match for Ningyu. After repelling Li Gang, Ningyu did not continue to attack. Instead, his eyes slightly narrowed, and he took a few steps back. With the soul-breaking sword in hand, Ningyu stared into the distance and said in a deep voice, "Come out." Swish! Swish! As soon as Ningyu's voice fell, 2 figures dashed over from afar, and not long after, they landed in front of Ningyu. "Second brother, third brother, you're here?" Seeing the sudden appearance of the 2 figures, Li Gang's face lit up, and he hurriedly said, "Hurry up and help me kill that little bastard Ningyu." Gaosher. Looking at the 2 figures in front of him, Ningyu's face became slightly dignified. He took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "If I'm not wrong, the one next to me should be Old Ghost Xiu." Gaosher's cultivation was only at the early stage of the true martial realm, so it would be easy for Ningyu to defeat him. However, Old Ghost Xiu's strength was very strong, and he had already reached the peak of the middle stage of the true martial realm. "Jie, I didn't expect someone to still remember my name." With a strange laugh, Old Ghost Xiu said, "Boy, since you know my name, you should also know how ruthless I am. Hand over the Meridian Cultivating Dan and the magical weapon, and I can consider leaving your corpse intact." "Second brother, why are you talking nonsense with him?" With a sneer, Gaosher said, "Senior Mu Tuo said that as long as we bring Ningyu back, he promised to help us refine 2 grade 5 dawn." Mu Tuo. With a gloomy face, Ningyu's eyes flickered with purple flames. "Alright, I want to see what's so special about this Ningyu that a Tier 5 alchemist would think so highly of him." The corner of Old Ghost Xiu's mouth curled up. His body moved and he took the lead to charge at Ningyu. Facing Old Ghost Xiu's powerful attack, Ningyu did not dare to be negligent. The origin qi in his sea of knowledge gushed out and gathered in his palm, and then he punched out. Hoo-hoo! The fist whistled, and the palm wrapped in violent origin chi, as if it was wrapped in scorching heat, fiercely smashed toward old Ghost Xiu's head. Sensing that Ning Yu's fist was about to hit his head, old Ghost Xiu's expression changed slightly. This attack had far exceeded the limit of a peak Hotian expert. In a hurry, old Ghost Xiu hurriedly crossed his arms in front of his body, and his origin chi surged. Boom! The palm wrapped in origin chi heavily fell on old Ghost Xiu's arms, and suddenly a muffled sound came out. Then, old Ghost Xiu quickly retreated. After retreating a few steps, he was able to remove the force from his arms. Ning Yu, you are not a Hotian realm martial artist. After stabilizing himself, old Ghost Xiu stared at Ning Yu and coldly said. The reason why old Ghost Xiu did not know Ning Yu's true strength was because Gao Shi did not tell him. He only told him that he had come to capture a young martial artist that a grade 5 alchemist wanted. Chapter 127. Middle Stage Xiantian. Feeling the powerful aura emanating from Ning Yu's body, old Ghost Xiu's expression slightly changed. He coldly snorted and said, I don't care if you are at the Xiantian stage or the Hotian stage. Meeting me today is your bad luck. Xiu Demon Claw. Old Ghost Xiu's feet touched the ground and his body rushed forward. His right hand turned into a claw and quickly grabbed at Ning Yu's head. Rustle. Above the claw, a slightly violent yuan qi constantly surged, giving people a feeling of extreme fear. Because this kind of yuan qi fluctuation had clearly reached the peak of the middle stage of the true martial realm. Suck. With a grave expression, Ning Yu sucked in a breath of cold air and quickly formed a seal with his wrist. Netherworld Samsara Palm, Netherworld Fiend. With a light shout from Ning Yu's mouth, a nearly solid palm print instantly rushed out, broke through the void, and collided with old Ghost Xiu's sharp claw. Kacha. When the two collided, a crisp sound rang out. The solid palm print was instantly crushed and dissipated between heaven and earth. TSK. The Xiu Demon Claw is a middle-grade earth rank martial skill. When used to its peak, it can even contend with a high-grade earth rank martial skill. With a sinister smile, old Ghost Xiu's figure arrived beside Ning Yu in the blink of an eye. His sharp claw fiercely stabbed at Ning Yu's neck. Heaven Fiend Sword Wave. At this critical moment, Ning Yu hurriedly took out the soul-breaking sword and slashed at old Ghost Xiu's sharp claw. Damn it! The moment the soul-breaking sword was taken out, old Ghost Xiu's expression slightly changed. He cursed and immediately retreated. The reason why old Ghost Xiu retreated was because he discovered the abnormality of the soul-breaking sword. The aura fluctuation had clearly reached the level of a heaven-rank magic treasure. Even though his Xiu Demon Claw was incomparably powerful, he didn't dare to fight against a heaven-rank flying sword. Teisho Kenpo. When old Ghost Xiu retreated, Ning Yu seized the opportunity. The essence qi in his sea of consciousness poured into the soul-breaking sword and slashed out again. The third style of the Supreme Nine Purities sword art, Teisho Kenpo, was extremely powerful. Although it was not enough to kill old Xiu, it could force him to retreat. I'll let you see what a real middle-stage true martial realm martial artist is like. Taking a deep breath, old Ghost Xiu no longer dodged and madly poured out his primal qi. Soon, old Ghost Xiu grasped the void with both hands and all the origin qi in front of him was caught in his hands. Go! A deep voice came from old Ghost Xiu's mouth as a berserk wave of origin energy shot out. Qi. In the next moment, the Yuan Qi wave and the Teisho Kenpo collided, and a monstrous shockwave spread in all directions. The powerful shockwave caused the low-level martial artists in the surroundings to tremble and find it hard to breathe. Old Ghost Xiu is actually so powerful. Jumping to a giant tree, Ning Yu's face was gloomy, and his heart was faintly worried. Through that move just now, he had already judged that old Ghost Xiu's strength was extremely powerful, comparable to Zhang Jin of the Zhang family. Ningyu was very clear that the reason why he was able to kill Zhang Jin was because he caught him off guard and took advantage of Zhang Jin's carelessness to kill him. Once the other party was highly concentrated, he would not have the slightest chance. No, I must quickly evacuate from here. The current situation was very unfavorable for Ningyu. Even if he stayed for a moment longer, he would likely die here. Old Ghost Xiao was only ranked second among the 4 bullies. If the first-ranked old woman came, he would not even have the chance to escape. Wind, thunder, fire. Thinking of this, the purple flames in Ningyu's eyes flickered, and then 2 purple beams shot out from his eyes. With an extremely astonishing speed, they shot towards Gao Shi and Li Gang. Since it was difficult to contend with Old Ghost Xiao head-on, Ningyu took a step back and attacked the other 2 of the 4 bullies, Gao Shi and Li Gang. Second brother, save me. Seeing that the purple flames were about to reach him, Li Gang's pupils shrank, and he screamed as he retreated. As for Gao Shi, his eyes were solemn, and he did not dare to be negligent. The yuan qi in his body surged out, and he tried his best to resist the purple flames from Ningyu's eyes. Not good. The moment he saw the purple flames, Old Ghost Xiao's heart trembled, but he quickly reacted. He immediately gave up attacking Ningyu and turned to save Li Gang. If Ningyu could contend with him, then killing Li Gang, who was only at the peak of the innate realm, would be a piece of cake. Therefore, he had to help Li Gang. Good chance. The moment Old Ghost Xiao moved, Ningyu's eyes lit up. He immediately turned in the air, and then quickly rushed towards Tianxian City. Teisho Kenpo. In order to prevent Old Ghost Xiao from catching up, Ningyu repeatedly slashed out several shocking sword lights, all of which bombarded Li Gang. Swoosh. Immediately, Yuan Qi quickly burned on Ningyu's feet, raising his speed to the extreme. Like lightning, he moved in the dense forest. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. Seeing Ningyu fly away, Old Ghost Xiao was so angry that his teeth itched, but there was nothing he could do. Because the Teisho Kenpo that Ningyu used at the end was extremely powerful. If he did not help Li Gang to resist it, Li Gang would definitely be killed. Swish, swish, swish. 3 breaths passed in the blink of an eye. In 3 breaths, Old Ghost Xiao completely destroyed the Teisho Kenpo that Ningyu used and saved Li Gang. However, Ningyu had already vanished without a trace. Second brother, should we chase after him? Gao Shi's complexion was also very unsightly. He did not expect that 3 of the 4 great tyrants would not be able to catch Ningyu, yet he easily escaped. If this news were to spread, wouldn't the 4 great tyrants become a laughingstock in Wise Ruler City? No need, Ningyu is not simple. Since he ran away with all his strength, if we want to catch up with him, we will have to spend a lot of effort. Waving his hand, Old Ghost Xiao solemnly said, "Let's go back to Wise Ruler City." Go back? Slightly startled, Gao Shi said, "Are we just going to let it go like this?" Humph. In my heart, Ningyu is already a dead man. Coldly snorting, Old Ghost Xiao said, "After we go back, use all our strength to investigate Ningyu. No matter what, we must find out everything about him within 3 days. In addition, I will use these 3 days to attack the late stage of true martial realm." Twisting his neck, Old Ghost Xiao gloomily said, "At that time, even if Ningyu has 3 heads and 6 arms, he will not be able to escape from the palm of my hand." Second brother, you want to attack the late stage of true martial realm. Hearing Old Ghost Xiao's words, Li Gang's eyes lit up and happily said, "Great, great. Fourth brother, your cultivation is only at the peak of Xiantian realm, your strength is very weak." Waving his hand, Old Ghost Xiao continued, "When we return to Wise Ruler City, I will find a way to help you get a true martial dan. Cultivate well and strive to advance to the early stage of true martial realm within 3 days. Thank you, second brother. Li Gang quickly expressed his gratitude. Alright, let's return to Wise Ruler City immediately, we can't waste a single second. With that, old Ghost Xiu's figure flashed and rushed toward Wise Ruler City. Chapter 128. Swoosh. In front of the gate of Tianxian City, a figure flashed past, turning into an afterimage as it rushed towards the Ning family. After escaping from old Ghost Xiu and the others, Ningyu hurried on without stopping and finally arrived at Tianxian City before dark. The other three families should have been dealt with. Looking at the quiet streets of Tianxian City, Ningyu nodded with satisfaction. When he left Tianxian City, he had already killed all the old ancestors and patriarchs of the three families. As for the remaining forces, it was not difficult to eradicate them with the strength of Zhou Tong and Ning Tang. In other words, at this time, everything in Tianxian City was under the control of the Ning family. Swoosh. With a flash, Ningyu landed in front of the Ning family's gate. Who is it? As soon as Ningyu's feet touched the ground, he was surrounded by two early-stage Xiantian warriors, one on the left and one on the right. One of the taller early-stage Xiantian warriors shouted, "This is the Ning family's territory. Those who have no business here should leave quickly." Haha, not bad, not bad. With a slight smile, Ningyu's whole body revealed his aura. Swoosh. Swoosh. The moment Ningyu released his aura, two figures appeared in front of him at an astonishing speed. Chairman Zhou, Great Elder. Looking at the two familiar figures, Ningyu said, "Ningyu, it's good that you're back. Go and see the old patriarch." Seeing Ningyu, Ning Tang said hurriedly, "Go." With a change of expression, Ningyu did not hesitate and strode into the Ning family. Damn it! In the secret room, seeing the pale Ning He, Ningyu clenched his fists and said in a deep voice, "Chairman Zhou and Great Elder, please go out for a while. I'll give it a try." Originally, Ningyu thought that buying the meridian repairing pill could cure Ning He, but now it seemed that he had thought too much. Ning He's injuries had worsened. Not only were all the meridians in his body broken, but his aura was also extremely weak. Even the sea of consciousness, which cultivators valued the most, was shattered beyond recognition. The slightest impact could cause it to shatter. Sigh. Sighing lightly, Ning Tang and Zhou Tong left the secret room together. In fact, during the time when Ningyu went to Bright King City, Ning Tang and the others had tried every means to save Ning He, but the effect was minimal. In the end, Ning Tang and the others even sentenced Ning He to death, with no hope of recovery. Zhou Tong, tell me the truth. Is there any way to cure the old patriarch? Ning Tang asked outside the secret chamber. After pondering for a while, Zhou Tong frowned and said, "Actually, it's not that there's no way. As long as we can buy the meridian repairing pill, Ning He still has a glimmer of hope to recover." Hearing this, Ning Tang's face lit up with joy. Now that the Ning family was in control of Tianxian City, if they used their full power, they would be able to get their hands on the meridian cultivating pill very quickly. However, even if we can buy the meridian cultivating pill, the chances of Ning He recovering are minimal. Before Ning Tang could be happy for long, Zhou Tong poured cold water on him and said in a deep voice, "Repairing the meridians is also a huge project. Without soul force reaching the 4th grade, it's impossible to complete this project." 4th grade soul force. Ning Tang's heart trembled and his face turned gloomy. A person with a 4th grade soul force was either a 4th grade alchemist or a peak of the true martial realm or an Yuan Dan realm martial artist. At this juncture, where could he find a 4th grade alchemist or a peak of the true martial realm martial artist? That's right. Suddenly, Ning Tang's eyes lit up and said, Patriarch is very strong. As long as Patriarch returns, I believe he can definitely cure the old Patriarch. No, I have to find a way to buy the meridian cultivating pill as soon as possible. As if he saw hope, Ning Tang hurriedly bid farewell to Zhou Tong and planned to use all his strength to buy the meridian cultivating pill. 1 day's time, only 1 day's time. Looking at Ning Tang's back, Zhou Tong sighed and immediately walked towards the Alchemy Union. In order to help the Ning family, he hadn't returned to the Alchemy Union for a few days. There were still many big and small matters waiting for him to deal with. Now that Ning Yu was back, with him holding the fort, he believed that some rascals would not dare to behave atrociously. Supreme Grade Meridian Cultivating Pill. Looking at the extremely weak Ning He on the bed, Ning Yu flicked his wrist and took out the Supreme Grade Meridian Cultivating Pill. For Ning He's current physical condition, the high-grade Meridian Cultivating Pill was no longer of much use, so Ning Yu planned to directly use the Supreme Grade Meridian Cultivating Pill. Slowly circulating the spirit transformation art, Ning Yu adjusted his mental state to its peak, then placed the Supreme Grade Meridian Cultivating Pill into Ning He's mouth. The Meridian Cultivating Pill was a 5th grade elixir. After swallowing it, there was no need to chew and it could be digested by itself. However, the speed of self-digestion was extremely slow, and it would take about a day for it to flow through the whole body. Go. One day. Ning Yu could not wait any longer, and neither could Ning He. In the next moment, Ning Yu's soul force surged and entered Ning He's body. The soul force with the strength of 4th grade guided the efficacy of the Supreme Grade Meridian Cultivating Pill to flow in Ning He's body. Every time he reached a broken tendon, Ning Yu would leave a wisp of soul force to wrap the efficacy of the Supreme Grade Meridian Cultivating Pill and slowly repair Ning He's tendon. Because Ning He's tendon and meridian were seriously broken, after only 10 minutes, Ning Yu had only separated 10 wisps of soul force, and he already felt a little powerless. A sense of weakness swept through his whole body. Swish. Gritting his teeth, Ning Yu took out a few pieces of high-grade origin crystals from his storage ring. While replenishing his consumed origin energy, he carefully helped Ning He to repair his tendon and meridian. Damn it! If my soul force reached the strength of 5th grade, I could easily repair these damaged tendon and meridian. Cursing in his heart, Ning Yu did not dare to neglect. While repairing Ning He's broken tendon and meridian, he also separated a few wisps of soul force to repair his damaged sea of consciousness. As a peak 9th grade alchemist in his previous life, Ning Yu was very clear that the tendon and sea of consciousness must be repaired at the same time, otherwise there would be sequelae. Therefore, even though he was weak and exhausted, Ning Yu still persisted. An hour later, Ning Yu's forehead was covered with beads of sweat. His eyes were slightly closed, and his whole body was faintly tottering. Chi. 2 hours later, Ning Yu's eyes suddenly opened, and his face was filled with joy. The reason why he was happy was not that Ning He had been cured, but that the efficacy of the first wisp of soul force wrapped in the Meridian Cultivating Pill had been completely absorbed by Ning He's tendon and meridian. Ning He's broken tendon and meridian were also preliminarily connected. Come back. After preliminarily connecting the tendon and meridian, Ning Yu's wisp of soul force was released and turned to help other soul forces. At this speed, it won't be long before grandfather's tendon and meridian can be completely repaired. Gotcha. Taking out a few pieces of high-grade origin crystals again, Ning Yu devoted himself to treating Ning He. The things in the outside world could no longer cause any interference to him. At this time, he had already entered a state where he forgot himself. Boom. Just as Ning Yu was treating Ning He with all his strength, an earth-shattering loud sound came out from the forbidden area of the magical beast mountain range. Then, a figure galloped past and ran wildly out of the forbidden area. Chapter 129. The sun set and rose. In the blink of an eye, a night had passed. Creak. Early the next morning, the door of the secret chamber was slowly pushed open, and Ning Yu came out. Phew! When the first ray of sunlight shone on his cheeks, Ning Yu heaved a sigh of relief. His tense nerves finally eased a little. After a night of all-out treatment, Ning He's injury had been under control. His broken tendons and meridians had all been repaired. Even his sea of consciousness, which was on the verge of collapse, had been saved by Ning Yu. Such a huge project had made Ningyu so weak that he didn't even have much strength to walk. Goo goo! The hunger from his stomach made Ningyu a little absent-minded. Ever since he was reborn, he had never felt so hungry. Ningyu, you're out? How is the situation of the elderly head? Just as Ningyu wanted to find something to eat, Ning Tang came to him and asked, I have used the family's power to buy meridian repairing pills in the surrounding cities. I believe it won't be long before I can buy meridian repairing pills. Waving his hand, Ningyu said, no need. Call back all the members of the family who have been dispatched. My grandfather is fine now. Meridian repairing pill was a 5th grade medicinal pill. Even the lowest grade meridian repairing pill required tens of thousands of upper grade essence crystals. With the current strength of the Ning family, it was really difficult to take out so many upper grade essence crystals at once. Moreover, Ning He's injury had been under control. He only needed to rest for a period of time to recover completely. There was no need to buy meridian repairing pills. Even if he really needed meridian repairing pills, Ningyu still had 1 upper grade meridian repairing pill left, which was enough. The elderly head is fine? Ning Tang's eyes widened and his face was full of disbelief. Ning Tang was very clear about Ning He's injury. All his tendons and meridians were broken, and his sea of consciousness was damaged. Such a serious injury was cured by Ningyu in one night? No one would believe it if it was spread out. When he saw Ning Tang's expression, Ningyu shrugged and said, You can go take a look, but don't make any noise. By the way, send 50 sets of herbs needed to refine the solidifying pill to my room later. With that, Ningyu turned around and left. Ningyu had promised the people of Drunken Cloud House and Snow Domain Pavilion that as long as they helped to attack the Lin family, he would give each of them a high-grade soul-condensing pill. With Ningyu's current level of alchemy, it wasn't too difficult to refine a few dozen superior-grade condensing essence pills. He wants to personally refine the soul-condensing pill? Looking at Ningyu's back, Ning Tang frowned slightly, feeling somewhat puzzled. The essence solidifying pill was a 3rd-grade elixir. Moreover, it was one of the best among 3rd-grade elixirs. Ningyu actually wanted to refine it himself? Didn't that mean that Ningyu's alchemy level had already reached the 3rd level? Thinking of this, Ning Tang's face was full of disbelief. This secret mustn't be known by outsiders. Taking a deep breath, Ning Tang didn't have the time to check on Ning He's injuries. He hurriedly left the Ning family and rushed towards Snow Domain Pavilion. He wanted to personally buy the herbs. In this way, even if others suspected something, they would suspect him instead of Ningyu. Regarding Ning Tang's actions, Ningyu didn't know. However, even if he knew, he would just laugh it off. If Ning Tang knew that not only could he refine 3rd-grade elixirs, but he could also refine 4th-grade elixirs, it was unknown how Ning Tang would feel. Leaving the secret chamber, Ningyu first looked for something to eat to fill his stomach before returning to his room. Swish! After returning to his room, Ningyu hurriedly took out several pieces of high-grade essence crystals, operated the transformation spiritual art, and began to absorb and refine them. Ningyu's current soul strength had reached the 4th grade, and his cultivation had reached the middle stage of the Xiantian realm. Originally, refining the essence condensing pill was a piece of cake. However, refining 50 furnaces of essence condensing pills at once, even Ningyu found it a little difficult. After all, after a night's time, the essence qi in his sea of consciousness had almost been consumed, and there wasn't much left at this time. If he wanted to refine 50 furnaces of essence condensing pills, he must replenish the consumed essence qi as soon as possible. Kacha. The 3rd level of the transformation spiritual art allowed him to absorb essence qi at lightning speed. In just an hour, Ningyu had already completely replenished the essence qi in 1 cyclone. After replenishing 1 cyclone, Ningyu didn't rush to replenish the 2nd cyclone. Instead, he got up and walked to the door. Squeak! Just as Ning Yu arrived in front of the door, Ning Tang pushed the door open and walked in. Ning Yu, these are the 50 sets of herbs needed to refine the essence condensing pill. Putting a small storage bag on the table, Ning Tang said, "You can rest assured. I have already issued a death order. Without your permission, no one is allowed to take half a step into this room." "Thank you, Grand Elder." Ning Yu understood Ning Tang's good intentions and said solemnly, "This matter is not convenient to spread. I hope you can keep it a secret for me." Ning Tang's face was a little blank as he said, "What are you talking about? I'm just passing by. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. The patriarch isn't here, and there are still many things waiting for me to deal with." "Take care, Grand Elder." Bowing to Ning Tang, Ning Yu closed the door. For safety's sake, he left a wisp of his soul force outside the room. Sure enough, there are 50 sets of herbs needed to refine the essence condensing pill. Probing the storage bag with his soul force, Ning Yu first took out a set of herbs. Patting his storage ring, Ning Yu threw the furnace above his head. Wind, thunder, fire. Focusing his eyes, the wind, thunder, and fire danced continuously on Ning Yu's fingertips. Grabbing an entire set of herbs, he threw them all into the furnace. Then, the purple flame on his fingertips continued to expand, burning at the bottom of the furnace. Sizzle! As the purple flame burned, the temperature at the bottom of the furnace gradually increased. In the end, there was even a sizzling sound coming from the furnace. With the help of the wind, thunder, and fire, concocting the essence condensing pill is indeed very easy. About 15 minutes later, Ning Yu patted the furnace. Instantly, the lid of the furnace opened, and a round medicinal pill flew out. Pop! Ning Yu's eyes were sharp and his hands were fast. He grabbed the medicinal pill and put it into the jade bottle that he had prepared earlier. High-rank essence condensing pill. Looking at the quality of the medicinal pill in the jade bottle, Ning Yu nodded his head in satisfaction. With his level, he could definitely concoct a supreme-rank essence condensing pill. However, he didn't do so. After all, these essence condensing pills were for the cultivators of the Snow Pavilion. It was already unbelievable that he could take out so many high-rank essence condensing pills at once. If he took out a supreme-rank essence condensing pill, he believed that it would definitely cause a commotion. High-rank essence condensing pills were still okay. He could say that he bought them with money. As for supreme-rank essence condensing pills, they were priceless. Even if he spent money, it would be very difficult to buy them. Go! The first batch of essence condensing pills was successfully concocted. With a flick of his wrist, Ning Yu threw another set of herbs into the furnace and started to concoct the second batch of essence condensing pills. With the speed of concocting a batch of essence condensing pills in 15 minutes, 50 batches of essence condensing pills could be completely concocted in 10 hours. Although concocting essence condensing pills was very exhausting, it was also very helpful for cultivating the soul. Chapter 130. While Ning Yu was refining the soul-solidifying pill, the Ning family's meeting hall was extremely quiet. A middle-aged man sat at the head of the table. Below him, a group of experts from the Ning family stood on both sides. Sensing the powerful pressure emanating from the man at the head of the table, the experts from the Ning family did not even dare to breathe loudly as they sat quietly in their chairs. Cough, cough. The silence did not last long before it was broken by the middle-aged man at the head of the table. He coughed dryly and stood up. His gaze swept across the crowd as he said in a deep voice, "Originally, I wanted to deal with the other 3 families after I solved my own problems. I did not expect them to be the first to launch an attack and deal a heavy blow to the Ning family. As the master of the Ning family, I did not step forward to tide over the difficulties with everyone during the family's most difficult time. I am not qualified to be the master of the Ning family." Retracting his aura, Ning Hai continued, "Therefore, I have decided that from today onwards, I will abdicate the position of the master of the Ning family and give it to the great elder, Ning Tang. Ning Hai's words caused the meeting hall to once again become terrifyingly quiet. No one had expected that the first thing Ning Hai did upon his return would be to abdicate. This was completely out of their expectations. After all, the aura that Ning Hai had emitted earlier made their hearts palpitate. That aura had most likely reached the pinnacle of the true martial realm. Whoosh! A moment later, the crowd was in a heated discussion. Ning Tang's expression changed slightly as he hurriedly said, "Master, you must not. Although you did not return when the family was in danger, Ning Yu single-handedly supported the Ning family and killed Lin Jingtian and the others." "That's right, Master. The reason why the Ning family was able to survive this disaster and control Tianxian City is all thanks to Ning Yu. Master, you don't have to blame yourself. We all know that you had to leave Tianxian City because of something. The other three families were despicable and shameless. They took advantage of your absence to attack the Ning family. You couldn't do anything about it." Waving his hand, Ning Hai said, "You don't have to say any more. I have already made up my mind. I will not change it. Also, I will only stay in Tianxian City for 3 days this time. After 3 days, I will leave Tianxian City." Ning Hai continued, "Once I leave, I don't know when I can return. Therefore, the position of family head will be assumed by Ning Tang. Who's not convinced?" Patriarch sigh. Ning Tang opened his mouth slightly, wanting to say something, but he didn't say anything in the end. Of all the people present, perhaps only he knew Ning Hai's plan. He knew the most about the earth-shattering battle 18 years ago. Now that Ning Hai had made this decision, he should be happy for Ning Hai, but he couldn't feel happy at all. After all, Ning Hai was about to face an extremely huge force. "All right, all of you can leave. Ning Tang, stay behind," Ning Hai said indifferently as he sat on a chair. After everyone left, Ning Tang said hesitantly, "Patriarch, is it worth it for you to do this? I have waited for this moment for 18 years. As long as I have a clear conscience, there is nothing worth it." Taking a deep breath, Ning Hai said, "After I leave, the Ning family will be handed over to you. I don't expect you to lead the Ning family to glory, but I also don't want the Ning family to completely decline in your hands. Patriarch, don't worry. As long as I am here, the Ning family will not fall." Ning Tang patted his chest and guaranteed. "Tell me about what happened during this period of time," Ning Hai said. "Patriarch, not long after you left, the Lin family took the lead and launched a strong attack on the Ning family." Sorting out his thoughts, Ning Tang began to speak slowly. Very quickly, Ning Tang told Ning Hai everything that happened in the past few days from beginning to end. Phew! After listening to Ning Tang's redundant narration, Ning Hai let out a long sigh, his eyes flashing. "You mean, Yu is now refining the soul-solidifying pill?" Suppressing the joy in his heart, Ning Hai asked. "That's right, Ning Yu asked me to buy 50 sets of medicinal materials needed to refine the soul-condensing pill. He should be refining the soul-condensing pill now." Ning Tang said, "Also, the old patriarch's injury was also cured by him. Regarding you refining the pill and curing the patriarch, keep it a secret. Don't let anyone know." With a gloomy face, Ning Hai said in a deep voice, "I will go see the patriarch now. After Yu is done refining the pill, let him see me in the secret chamber." In the next moment, Ning Hai moved his feet and instantly left the meeting hall. Swoosh! Seeing Ning Hai disappear, Ning Tang was stunned on the spot. Because Ning Hai disappeared so quickly that he didn't even have time to react. In other words, if Ning Hai wanted to kill him, it would be effortless. Although my cultivation has just advanced to the late stage of the Xiantian realm, it will be difficult for a martial artist at the peak of the true martial realm to instantly disappear under my eyes, unless it is a martial artist at the Yuan Dan realm. Eyes burning, Ning Tang forcefully suppressed the excitement in his heart and turned to leave the meeting hall. "Gotcha! Gotcha! Gotcha. In Ning Yu's room, as the high-grade yuan crystals continued to shatter, soul-solidifying pills flew out one after another. 49th pill. 50th pill. Placing the last 2 soul-solidifying pills into the jade bottle, Ning Yu let out a long sigh and sat on the floor. Not bad at all. Although he was exhausted and the yuan qi in his sea of consciousness was depleted, Ning Yu didn't feel the slightest bit depressed. Instead, he was extremely excited. Come out. A wisp of soul force gushed out from his body and wrapped around his wrist. With a flip of his palm, Ning Yu blasted out a palm print. Wung wung. The palm print dissipated in the air, leaving behind a shockwave. My soul force has reached the middle stage of the 4th grade. Even the power of the netherworld samsara palm's 3rd palm, the Dark Fiend, has increased by 2 levels. Feeling the power of the Dark Fiend, Ning Yu was extremely satisfied. He originally thought that after increasing his soul force to the middle stage of the 4th grade, the power of the Dark Fiend would only increase by 1 level. Now it seemed that it had completely exceeded his expectations. Let's replenish the yuan qi in my sea of consciousness first. Although he was extremely weak, Ning Yu didn't rest. Instead, he took out a high-grade yuan crystal and began to absorb and refine it. With his soul force reaching the middle stage of the 4th grade, Ning Yu's speed of absorbing yuan qi had also increased a lot. In less than 3 hours, he had filled all 3 cyclones with yuan qi. As for the cyclones of wind, thunder and fire, the moment the yuan qi entered, it would be devoured by the wind, thunder and fire. It was like a bottomless pit that could never be filled. Forget it. Now that I've recovered to my peak condition, it's time to give the high-grade soul-solidifying pills to the people from Snow Pavilion and Drunken Cloud House. Originally, Ning Yu wanted to try to break through to the late stage of the Xiantian realm. However, since he had already refined the high-grade soul-solidifying pills, he might as well give them to the people from Snow Pavilion first. After all, when the Ning family was in danger, they chose to stand with the Ning family and help the Ning family. Naturally, Ning Yu wouldn't let them suffer a loss. Chapter 131. Not long after Ning Yu left the room, Ning Tang came to greet him. First Elder, I was just about to look for you. Seeing Ning Tang, Ning Yu took out a storage bag and said, There are high-grade solidifying pills in here, please help me distribute them. Taking the storage bag, Ning Tang said, Leave this matter to me, you don't have to worry about it. Also, your father wants you to see him in the secret chamber. Is my father back? Hearing Ning Tang's words, Ning Yu frowned slightly and said, I'll go to the secret chamber now. Saying so, Ning Yu walked towards the secret chamber. Looking at Ning Yu's back, Ning Tang was a little confused because he felt something unusual about Ning Yu. Forget it, I'll just distribute the solidifying pills. Shaking his head, Ning Tang took the storage bag and left the Ning family. Creak. The heavy door to the secret chamber was slowly pushed open. After Ning Yu entered the secret chamber, he saw Ning Hai standing in the middle with his hands behind his back. This aura, feeling the strong aura from Ning Hai, Ning Yu's eyes narrowed and his heart couldn't help but tremble. I'm afraid it has already surpassed the true martial realm and reached the Yuan Dan realm, or even higher. Eyes filled with shock, Ning Yu said calmly, Father, may I know why you called me here? Good, very good. I didn't think you'd already reached the middle stage of the Xiantian realm. Not directly answering Ning Yu's question, Ning Hai nodded in satisfaction and asked, Which form of the Supreme Nine Purities, sword art have you practiced to? Replying, Father, I've practiced to the 3rd form, Teisho Kenpo, Ning Yu replied. Ning Hai's heart skipped a beat as he said, Show it to me. Ning Hai was very clear about the difficulty of cultivating the Supreme Nine Purities sword technique. In the Supreme Nine Purities temple, except for a few freaks, almost no one could cultivate the 3rd form of the Supreme Nine Purities sword technique in such a short time. Moreover, Ning Yu's cultivation was only at the middle stage of the Xiantian realm. Teisho Kenpo. Ning Yu exerted a little force on his back leg and rose from the ground. At the same time, he waved the broken soul sword in his hand and stabbed out. Suddenly, a shocking sword light swept out and blasted towards Ning Hai. Chi. Ning Yu did not hold back this time. On the contrary, he used all his strength. The friction between the sword aura and the air produced a sizzling sound. It really is the third form of the Supreme Nine Purities sword art, Teisho Kenpo. With a flash of shock in his eyes, Ning Hai casually waved his hand and dispersed the sword aura. He then said in a deep voice, "The Supreme Nine Purities sword art, each form is harder to cultivate than the previous one. You must not be arrogant and think that the later forms are easy to cultivate. To tell you the truth, even among the core disciples of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, only a few can successfully cultivate the fourth form of the Supreme Nine Purities sword art." In order to prevent Ning Yu from becoming arrogant, Ning Hai had to warn him. Before you advance to the true martial realm, you must not try to cultivate the fourth form. "Father, I will remember," Ning Yu said. "Not bad." Nodding his head, Ning Hai reached into his pocket and took out a palm-sized silver-white box. He handed it to Ning Yu. Taking the silver-white box, Ning Yu was slightly stunned. "Father, what is inside?" "Open it and you will know," Ning Hai said lightly. Hearing this, Ning Yu opened the silver-white box. Swoosh! As soon as the box was opened, a cold light flew out and attacked Ning Yu's face. "Damn it!" Cursing, Ning Yu's expression changed. He quickly waved the soul-severing sword and slashed. Swoosh! However, the cold light was extremely fast. Just as the sword aura was about to hit it, it suddenly disappeared before Ning Yu's eyes. "Humph! Where do you think you are going?" With a cold snort, Ning Yu released his soul power, trying to find the cold light. However, no matter how his soul power probed, he could not find the exact location of the cold light. This is the phantom armor of the Phantom Rat clan." Just then, Ning Hai's figure flashed out. He quickly forced the cold light out and grabbed it in his hand. Waving the dark golden armor in his hand, Ning Hai smiled and said, "I will give it to you now. Phantom armor. It is the phantom armor of the Phantom Rat clan." Seeing the dark golden armor in Ning Hai's hand, Ning Yu's eyes were filled with shock. So much so that his mouth was slightly open that 2 eggs could be stuffed inside. Ning Yu understood the phantom armor very well. It could be said that he understood it to his bones. In his previous life, among the 9 Earth Sovereigns that besieged him, there was one who wore the phantom armor and was extremely fast. Even though his cultivation was at the Sky Sovereign level, his speed was not as fast as that Earth Sovereign who wore the phantom armor. However, the Phantom Sovereign was not from the Phantom Rat clan. It was said that the phantom armor he wore was obtained from the Phantom Rat clan. "I never thought that I would be lucky enough to obtain a phantom armor in this life." Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu said calmly, "Father, is there anything special about this phantom armor?" Although he knew how precious the phantom armor was, Ning Yu did not know much about the dark golden phantom armor in Ning Hai's hand. That was because there were 2 types of phantom armors. One had a fixed grade and the other could be upgraded. There was no need to talk about the fixed grade. As for the phantom armor that could be upgraded, it was the treasure of the Phantom Rat clan. In the entire Phantom Rat clan, there were only 3 of them. One was snatched by the Phantom Sovereign, one was with the Phantom Rat King, and the last one was most likely in Ning Hai's hands. This phantom armor is only a mid-earth rank armor. Ning Hai explained, "It is an armor that can be upgraded. However, it is not easy to upgrade it. It requires a large amount of energy. Let me put it this way, 1,000,000 high-grade yuan crystals can upgrade it from the earth rank middle grade to the earth rank high grade." Holy shit! Although Ning Yu was mentally prepared, he could not help but curse in his heart when he heard Ning Hai's words. 1,000,000 high-grade yuan crystals could already buy a heaven-rank low-grade artifact, but it could only upgrade the phantom armor from the earth-rank middle-grade to the earth-rank high-grade. One could imagine that upgrading the phantom armor to the earth-rank top-grade, or even the heaven-rank low-grade, would require at least 10,000,000 high-grade yuan crystals. The greater the effort, the greater the reward. Seeing the helplessness in Ning Yu's eyes, Ning Hai said, "I will leave Tianxian City in 3 days. Therefore, in these 3 days, I will do my best to help you refine the phantom armor and make it a part of your body. In addition, you are only at the innate realm middle grade. The strength of your soul force is still not enough to reach the 4th grade middle grade." Shaking his head, Ning Hai said solemnly, "This time, when I leave Tianxian City, I asked for a barrel of intermittent cold jade fluid for you. When the time comes, you can lie in it and cultivate. As for how much medicinal energy you can absorb, it will depend on your luck." Intermittent cold jade fluid. Extremely shocked, Ningyu even had a feeling of being in a trance. The intermittent cold jade fluid was a 6th grade medicinal fluid. Its medicinal effect was equivalent to a 6th grade elixir. Moreover, compared to ordinary 6th grade elixirs, the intermittent cold jade fluid was much easier to absorb and refine. It was the best medicinal fluid for cultivation. With the intermittent cold jade fluid, even a person with poor talent could advance from the innate realm middle grade to the late grade. Chapter 132. While Ningyu was still in a state of shock, Ning Hai took out a wooden barrel that was as tall as a person from his storage pouch. The barrel was filled with a light purple medicinal liquid. One could faintly see that the medicinal liquid was emitting a faint cold air. 1,000-year ebony. Seeing the barrel, Ning Yu's first reaction was shock. His second reaction was even more shock. 1,000-year ebony was extremely valuable. Even though it was not as valuable as the intermittent cold jade fluid, it was not that far off. This was because 1,000-year ebony was the main ingredient in certain Tier 7 pills. Don't just stand there. This is the intermittent cold jade fluid. You can cultivate in it later. Ning Hai pointed at the barrel made of 1,000-year ebony and said, "Even though the intermittent cold jade fluid contains a lot of energy, it is unusually cold. If you can't take it anymore, you can come out." "Father, I will remember." When he came back to his senses, Ningyu took a step forward and jumped into the wooden barrel with a plop. "Enjoy it." Seeing how reckless Ningyu was, jumping into the barrel without any preparation, Ning Hai's mouth twitched uncontrollably. Then, he quickly left the secret chamber. After all, he would be leaving Tianxian City in 3 days. He had to get rid of all the uncertainties within these 3 days. Only then could he leave with peace of mind. As soon as he jumped into the barrel, Ningyu felt a strong chill engulfing his entire body. The bone-chilling feeling on his skin made him suck in a breath of cold air. Moreover, there was a strong sense of oppression around him that made it hard for him to breathe. However, what made Ningyu feel relieved was that his entire body was filled with unbelievably pure energy. This energy was all rushing into his body, trying to force its way into his consciousness. The pressure is so strong. The barrel was as tall as a person. Even though Ningyu's entire body was submerged in it, there was no problem at all. However, every centimeter he went down, the strong sense of oppression around him increased a little. "I have to sink to the bottom." With a cold glint in his eyes, Ningyu clenched his teeth and unleashed his 4th grade soul force, enveloping his body and slowly sinking down. Thanks to the protection of a 4th grade soul force, Ningyu's body soon sank to the bottom of the barrel. F***CK. Holy shit. When his body reached the bottom of the barrel, Ningyu couldn't help but curse when he retracted his soul power. Because the pressure at the bottom of the barrel had already reached a limit, and it even caused him to have the impulse to jump out of the barrel. However, as he sensed the rich energy around him, Ningyu held his breath and slowly circulated the spirit transformation technique. With the circulation of the spirit transformation technique, Ningyu gradually adapted to the super-strong pressure at the bottom of the barrel. After Xiao Chen got used to the pressure, the pure energy contained in the intermittent frost jade fluid began to flow through his entire body and into his sea of consciousness. Buzz. After about an hour, Ningyu felt one of the cyclones loosen a little. Although the loosening was extremely weak, it was still detected by Ningyu's sharp senses. There's a chance. At this rate, I can advance to the late-stage Xiantian in less than a day. Ningyu was ecstatic. He once again exerted his strength and circulated the third level of the spirit transformation technique, absorbing the energy like crazy. Gotcha! The third level of the spirit transformation technique absorbed the energy at lightning speed. With a crisp sound, the energy around Ningyu seemed to find a target and rushed into his sea of consciousness. With so much energy rushing into his sea of consciousness, Ningyu's 4 cyclones also expanded continuously. Gotcha! 6 hours later, Ningyu seemed to hear 4 slight explosions in his sea of consciousness. The 4 cyclones seemed to be filled with air and expanded again. Late-stage Xiantian. At this moment, Ningyu successfully broke through to the late-stage Xiantian realm. The intermittent frost jade fluid is indeed extraordinary. I have only absorbed 1/5 of its energy and I have already advanced to the late-stage Xiantian realm. After advancing to the late-stage Xiantian realm, the energy contained in each of Ningyu's cyclones was comparable to that of an early-stage true martial realm martial artist. As the cyclones expanded, the amount of energy they could contain increased, causing Ningyu to spend an entire day to fill them up. Moreover, he had only filled 3 cyclones. As for the cyclones of wind, thunder and fire, they were still like a bottomless pit. The moment the energy entered, it would be swallowed by the wind, thunder and fire. There's still so much pure energy left. If I absorb all of it, I can almost advance to the peak of the Xiantian realm. With a solemn expression, Ningyu began to ponder. According to the current situation, it wouldn't be difficult for him to advance to the peak of the Xiantian realm. However, he had an idea in his heart. He wanted to use the pure energy to split the cyclones. All of you go in. Without further ado, Ningyu hurriedly circulated the transformation spirit art, and the pure energy in the surroundings all entered his cyclone. Suppress. As the cyclones had already been filled up, along with the influx of pure energy, the cyclones showed signs of expanding. The expansion of the cyclones would allow Ningyu to advance to the peak of the Xiantian realm. However, this was obviously not what Ningyu wanted. In the next moment, he poured his soul force into his sea of consciousness and frantically suppressed the cyclones. Fortunately, Ningyu's soul force had already advanced to the mid-stage of 4th grade, otherwise, he really wouldn't be able to suppress the impact of the expanding cyclones. Gotcha! 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 After another day, along with 3 crisp sounds, Ningyu's face lit up with joy. At this moment, the 3 cyclones suddenly shattered and split into 6, adding the cyclones of wind, thunder and fire. In other words, the number of cyclones in Ningyu's sea of consciousness had reached an astonishing 7. Of the 7 cyclones, excluding the cyclones of wind, thunder and fire, the remaining 6 cyclones could contain the energy of the early-stage true martial realm. After the cyclones were successfully divided, Ningyu spent some time to fill up the 6 cyclones. The energy in the intermittent cold jade fluid has almost been completely absorbed by me. There's not much left. Now it's time to refine the phantom armor. With a swoosh, Ningyu jumped out of the wooden barrel and took out the phantom armor from his storage ring. Xiao. He separated a wisp of soul force and quietly poured it into the phantom armor. Soul imprint. There was no soul imprint in the phantom armor. Therefore, Ningyu only spent a dozen minutes to engrave his soul force into the phantom armor. Qi. After that, Ningyu forced a drop of blood and dripped it on the phantom armor. Ning Yu was very clear that for a top-notch magical equipment like the phantom armor, just engraving a soul imprint was not enough. He needed to refine it with a drop of blood and make it a part of his body. Only in this way could he display the advantage of the phantom armor's speed. The advantage of the Phantom Mouse clan was speed. As the clan's most valuable treasure, the phantom armor's speed was needless to say. Chapter 133. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Ning Hai sat at the head of the table. His eyes slowly swept across the crowd, finally stopping at the great elder of the Ning family, Ning Tang. Ning Hai said in a deep voice, "I will leave Tianxian City tomorrow morning. At that time, all matters of the Ning family will be handled by Ning Tang." Ning Hai said in a deep voice, "I will leave Tianxian City tomorrow morning. At that time, all matters of the Ning family will be handled by Ning Tang. I don't want any power struggles in the family while I am away. Ning Tang, do you have the confidence to be the head of the family?" Ning Hai asked. Ning Tang stood up and said hurriedly, "Head, don't worry, I have the confidence." Ning Tang's breathing was steady and not impetuous. The vigorous Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness and the faint Yuan Qi halo around his body indicated that he had reached the Xiantian full cycle. If Ning Tang was still in the advanced stage of the Xiantian stage, he might not have the confidence to control the Ning family and Tianxian City. But now that he had advanced to the Xiantian full cycle, he absolutely had the confidence to control the Ning family and Tianxian City. Moreover, the most important thing was that Ning Hai had already resolved all the unstable factors in Tianxian City. Some of the rascals would not be able to escape the disaster. Under this premise, Ning Tang was even more confident. "Ning Tang, stay. The rest of you can go back," Ning Hai said lightly with a wave of his hand. Whoosh! The dozens of martial artists in the hall left the meeting hall in an orderly manner. "Family head, do you want to bring Ning Yu along when you leave this time?" Ning Tang asked doubtfully after everyone left. "I will go by myself. As for Yu, I plan to let him go to Danwu College to gain some experience," Ning Hai said, shaking his head. Ning Tang was slightly stunned, feeling a little incredulous. In his opinion, since Ning Hai had chosen to leave Tianxian City, it was natural to bring Ning Yu along. He did not expect Ning Hai to leave alone and choose to send Ning Yu to Danwu College. "Head, isn't this a little?" Ning Tang said with a slight frown. However, before he could finish his words, Ning Hai interrupted him and said, "I've already made up my mind about you. You don't need to say anything more." Then, Ning Hai shook his wrist and a storage bag appeared in his hand. "There are some magic treasures and medicinal pills inside. Take them and use them to improve the cultivation bases of the younger generation." Handing the storage pouch to Ning Tang, Ning Hai continued, "If a clan wants to develop in the long run, it is necessary to have a top-notch fighting force, but the strength of the younger generation cannot be too weak. Patriarch, Ning Xian and the others went to participate in the Icy Caves test and have yet to return." Taking the storage bag, Ning Tang looked at the astonishing number of pills inside and hurriedly put it away. He hesitantly said, "I don't know what the current situation is. There are some problems with the Frost Cave assessment this time. They have already followed the elders of Danwu College to another Frost Cave to participate in the assessment." Ning Hai was not worried at all about Ning Xian and the others not returning. Instead, he said, with Ning Xian and the others' strength, they will probably not be chosen to enter Danwu College. Before long, they will be sent back. There can be problems with the Frost Cave assessment? Hearing this, Ning Tang was a little stunned. After being in Tianxian City for so many years, he had never heard of any problems with the Frost Cave assessment. One must know that the Frost Cave was the assessment venue set up by Danwu College. Whoever dared to disrupt the assessment in the Frost Cave was going against Danwu College. In the Xia Kingdom, There were not many forces that dared to openly go against Danwu College. Creak. Just as Ning Tang was in a daze, the door to the meeting hall was pushed open. A slightly thin figure appeared in the hall. Ning Yu, your cultivation? Seeing the familiar figure suddenly appear in the hall, Ning Tang was first stunned, then his face revealed a shocked expression. I have already reached the late stage of the Xiantian realm. When he was in the middle stage of the Xiantian realm, Ning Yu could already contend with a middle stage true martial realm martial artist. Now that he had advanced to the late stage of the Xiantian realm, his strength could probably contend with a peak middle stage true martial realm martial artist, right? Late stage of the Xiantian realm? Compared to Ning Tang's shock, Ning Hai was much better. He frowned slightly and a trace of soul force flew out from his body, quietly examining Ning Yu's body. Seeing this, Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly hid the 6 cyclones in his sea of consciousness, leaving only one ordinary cyclone floating in his sea of consciousness. That's not right. A big tub of intermittent cold jade fluid only raised my cultivation from the middle stage Xiantian realm to the late stage Xiantian realm. Frowning, Ning Hai realized that Ning Yu's cultivation was only at the late stage Xiantian realm. Logically, the intermittent cold jade fluid should not only have such a small effect. Father, I feel that breaking through to the Xiantian realm full cycle in such a short time is not good for my future cultivation, so I suppressed my cultivation to the late stage Xiantian realm. Seeing Ning Hai's doubt, Ning Yu explained, I have already kept the rest of the intermittent cold jade fluid. I plan to stabilize my cultivation at the late stage Xiantian realm before making a breakthrough. It's good that you have such an idea. Withdrawing his soul force, Ning Hai praised. Seeing Ning Hai withdrawing his soul force, Ning Yu heaved a sigh of relief, thinking that it was a close shave. If Ning Hai had used more soul force, he would definitely have discovered the cyclone that he had hidden. Although it would not be a big problem, it would still be troublesome to explain it. Oh yes, let me help you refine the phantom armor. Not caring about Ning Yu's cultivation, Ning Hai said. Father, the phantom armor has been refined by me. As he spoke, Ning Yu's soul force moved, and the phantom armor appeared on the surface of his skin. What? The phantom armor has been refined by you. Seeing this, Ning Hai was very shocked. He was very clear about the difficulty of refining the phantom armor. Without the help of a warrior with a strong soul force, refining it would be as difficult as ascending to heaven for a low-level warrior. After a short moment of shock, Ning Hai regained his calmness. A moment later, he returned to his seat and said, seeing your current state, I can also leave Tianxian City with a peace of mind. Ning Tang, you heir, both of you can leave first. Let me be alone for a while. Waving his hand, Ning Hai said indifferently, Goodbye. Yes, father. Ning Tang and Ning Yu bid farewell to Ning Hai and slowly left the meeting hall. After leaving the meeting hall, Ning Yu and Ning Tang also parted ways. Ning Tang went to deal with the family's affairs, while Ning Yu went to the Alchemy Association without stopping. Because he had promised Zhou Tong that he would go to the capital to participate in the alchemy conference, he could use this time to discuss the details. Moreover, he could also take the alchemist test at the same time. After all, with the alchemist badge on him, no matter where he went it would be good. Ning Yu had been to the Alchemy Association a few times and was already familiar with the place. After a short while, he arrived at the entrance. Young Master Ning. Chapter 134. After the familiar voice sounded, a middle-aged man quickly walked up and said respectfully, Why didn't you tell me in advance before you came so that I could go and greet you? Lu Shan, I have arms and legs. Do I need you to receive me? The middle-aged man was the second-tier alchemist, Lu Shan. Lu Shan's aura was restrained and his soul energy had reached the intermediate stage of the second tier. He was no longer a pseudo-second-tier alchemist, but a second-tier mid-tier alchemist. Young Master Ning, you must be joking. Please come in, Lu Shan hurriedly said. Lu Shan, is Chairman Zhou in? After entering the Alchemy Union, Ning Yu looked around and said, I'm here to look for him. Young Master Ning, if you came earlier, you might have been able to meet Chairman Zhou. But now it might be a little difficult, Lu Shan said. Oh? What difficulty is there? Could it be that Chief Zhou is not in the Alchemist Association? Ning Yu raised his eyebrows and asked calmly. Chairman Zhou is in the Union, but it's not convenient for him to meet you now. After pondering for a moment, Lu Shan explained, just 10 minutes ago, President Zhou entered the alchemy room. I heard that Chairman Zhou is going to make a 4th-tier pill, the True Martial Pill. True Martial Pill. Hearing Lu Shan's words, Ning Yu was a little surprised. 3 days ago, Zhou Tong was only a 3rd-tier pinnacle alchemist. His soul energy was still at the 3rd-tier level. With his alchemy skills back then, it was impossible for him to make a 4th-tier true martial pill. Could it be that in these 3 days, Zhou Tong had already become a 4th-tier alchemist? Yes, young Master Ning. If there's nothing urgent, please wait here for a while, Lu Shan said carefully, afraid that Ning Yu would be unhappy. All right, I'll wait here for a while. Ning Yu was not an unreasonable person. He found a chair and sat down. When Chairman Zhou comes out, let me know. I'll go see him. Young Master Ning, the number of people participating in the alchemy assessment has increased recently. I'll go get busy, Lu Shan said. Waving his hand, Ning Yu said, It doesn't matter. You can go back to your work. After bidding farewell to Ning Yu, Lu Shan walked into the Alchemy Union. As for Ning Yu, he was sitting on a chair with his eyes closed. He was going through everything that had happened recently in his mind. Thankfully, he had the memories of his past life, which allowed his strength to grow by leaps and bounds. Otherwise, even 10 Ning Yus would have been smashed into smithereens. Now my cultivation is at the late stage of the Xiantian realm. My comprehensive strength is enough to contend with a martial artist at the peak of the true martial realm. If I encounter that old ghost Xiu again, even if I don't use my full strength, I can still kill him. On his way back from Mingwang City, Ning Yu was being chased by 3 of the 4 big bullies. If he had not run fast enough, he would have been killed. This enmity must be avenged. Ning Yu was a very simple person. If others respected him, he would respect them tenfold. If others wanted to kill him, then regrettably, no matter where they fled to, he would hunt them down. Hey, are you trying to act shamelessly? That's right, we painstakingly went to the Magic Beast mountain range to dig up the dragon's beard, and even lost the lives of 2 of our companions. Yet, you say that it is not dragon's beard? 1 dragon's beard is 10 high-grade yuan crystals. There are 1,000 of them in this storage bag, so a total of 10,000 high-grade yuan crystals. Call the person who issued the mission over. If he does not take out 10,000 high-grade yuan crystals today, he will have a good time. Just as Ning Yu closed his eyes to rest, a few noisy voices rang in the lobby of the Alchemy Union and entered his ears. Opening his eyes, Ning Yu looked around. In the lobby, 3 young men dressed in black stood in front of the counter and berated a young woman in her 20s. Surrounded by the 3 of them, the young woman almost cried out. She carefully said, You guys, this is really not Dragon's Beard. The person who issued the task has already told me the identification method of Dragon's Beard. The Dragon's Beard that you took out turned black when you put it into the testing liquid, not red, which means clang. One of the men in black slammed his fist on the counter and said coldly, What do you know? Call the person who issued the mission over. I want to see if he dares to act shamelessly today. Looking at the 3 men in black, Ning Yu was somewhat shocked. There was no other reason. Although the 3 men in black tried to conceal their aura, they were still detected by Ning Yu's keen perception. Each of their cultivation had reached the Xiantian full cycle. 3 Xiantian full cycle. Since when did Xiantian full cycle become so worthless in Tianxian City? Please wait a moment, I will go and call the Ning family over. Lan Shi hurriedly said. Hee, you don't need to go, wait here. The leader of the men in black glanced at Lan Shi and said with an evil smile, Let the others go, I still have something to tell you. You guys. Lan Shi was after all only a woman in her 20s. Facing such a sudden situation, she was at a loss for a moment. In the past, when Lan Shi was in the Alchemy Union, she had never encountered such a situation because there were very few people who dared to cause trouble in the Alchemy Union. Even if there were a few troublemakers, President Zhou would come forward to deal with them. Now that President Zhou was in seclusion to refine pills, Lan Shi was suddenly at a loss. Why don't you talk to me about it? Originally, Ningyu did not intend to get involved in this matter, but after hearing Lan Shi's words, he had no choice but to get involved. Because the person who issued the mission was a member of the Ning family. Although dragon's beard was only a third-grade medicinal herb, it was extremely expensive and was the main ingredient in refining most third-grade medicinal pills. Now that the Ning family was in control of Tianxian City, it was understandable for them to issue similar missions. Young Master Ning. Hearing Ningyu's words, Lan Shi seemed to have found her backbone and said happily, Young Master Ning? The leader of the men in black frowned slightly and said, You are a member of the Ning family? Are you the one who issued this mission? Without answering the man in black, Ningyu walked to the counter and picked up the so-called dragon's beard from the man in black to examine it. After a while, Ningyu threw the medicinal herb to the side and said indifferently, What dragon's beard? It's just dog's tail grass. What? Ningyu's action made the man in black furious and he said fiercely, You dare to say that this is dog's tail grass, who do you think you are? Big brother, why are you talking nonsense with him? We accepted. The short man in black at the side said. Third brother. Before the short man could finish his words, he was interrupted by the man in black who said coldly, We accepted the mission issued by the Alchemy Union this time, don't talk nonsense. Huh. Frowning slightly, Ningyu seemed to have understood something from their conversation. The three of them were indeed not here for the Dragon's Beard mission, they should have another purpose. Chapter 135. Kid, since you're the one who issued the mission, don't waste your breath. Hurry up and hand over the 10,000 high-grade yuan crystals. We don't have time to waste with you here. The leader of the black-robed men glared fiercely at Ningyu and said, This time, the three of us spent a lot of effort to dig up 1,000 dragon's beard grass. Therefore, you have to hand over the 10,000 high-grade yuan crystals no matter what. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. Hee, you want to be rude to me? The corners of Ningyu's lips curled up as he turned around and sat on a chair. He crossed his legs and said calmly, I'd like to see how you plan to be rude to me. The three of them actually dared to offend Ningyu? Did they eat a bear's heart or a leopard's gall? Even Lin Jingtian died in the hands of Ningyu. Do they really think that they can defeat Ningyu? The news of Ningyu's powerful performance 3 days ago has already spread throughout Profound Sky City. Could it be that they've just arrived? I've never seen the three of them before. I'm afraid they've just arrived at Profound Sky City. Seeing the conflict between the three black-robed men and Ningyu, the cultivators from the Alchemy Union were slightly shocked. This was because the powerful battle strength that Ningyu had displayed 3 days ago had caused their hearts to tremble. Now, although the three black-robed men were powerful, they were still lacking compared to the patriarchs of the three great families. The whispers from the surroundings caused Chen Da's face to turn solemn. The three of them were indeed not from Profound Sky City. Their main objective for coming to Profound Sky City was to kill Ningyu and complete the bounty. He did not expect the crowd to have such a high evaluation of Ningyu. However, sensing the Xiantian realm middle stage aura from Ningyu's body, Chernda's face turned cold and he said coldly, Kid, in the capital, there aren't many people who dare to speak to me like this. Oh, I mean there are still people who dare to talk to you like that. Shrugging his shoulders, Ningyu said, if what you brought was really dragon's beard grass, I would naturally give you 10,000 pieces of origin crystals. But what you brought is dog's tail grass. I'm afraid you won't be able to get these 10,000 pieces of origin crystals. Big brother, let me try his water. Next to him, Chen Er took a step forward. The aura of the consummate Xiantian realm was revealed, and it pressed down on Ningyu. In the face of such a fierce aura oppression, Ningyu acted as if nothing had happened. Not only was he not worried, but he also chatted with Lan Shi, who was next to him. Damn it! Chen Er secretly cursed as he clenched his teeth. Just as the Yuan Qi within his sea of consciousness was about to gush out, he heard an anxious voice being emitted. After which, he slightly withdrew his Yuan Qi. Everyone, this is the Alchemy Union. Lu Shan was in charge of the alchemy assessment. Hearing that someone had a conflict with Ningyu, he hurriedly ran from the inner room to the lobby. When he came out, he saw 3 men in black surrounding Ningyu. He hurriedly said, I'm afraid there's some misunderstanding between you and young Master Ning. It's better to make an enemy than to resolve it. If there's anything, we can sit down and have a good talk. There's nothing to talk about. In short, hand over 10,000 pieces of origin crystals, and we 3 brothers will leave immediately. Chen Da's attitude was firm, and he had no intention of giving in. 10,000 pieces of origin crystals, what a big appetite! Curling his lips, Ningyu teleported and snatched the storage bag from Chen Da's hand. Then, he poured out the 1,000 pieces of dog's tail grass. Crash! The 1,000 pieces of dog's tail grass fell on the ground. Instantly, the surroundings were filled with the strong smell of dog's tail. Dog's tail grass? Looking at the scattered medicinal herbs on the ground, Lu Shan was stunned. Then, he quickly said, Young Master Ning, dog's tail grass is a first-grade medicinal herb. It's cheap. Why? Damn, don't tell me they mistook the dog's tail grass for dragon's whiskers? As the second-seat alchemist of the Alchemy Union, Lu Shan naturally knew the mission issued by the Ning family. 1 stalk of dragon's whiskers for 10 pieces of origin crystals. Now that he saw the dog's tail grass on the ground, he instantly understood. Shrugging, Ningyu declined to comment. Young man, how dare you steal my storage bag in broad daylight? Chunda did not expect Ningyu to be so fast. He was so fast that he did not even have time to react before his storage bag was snatched away. After a short moment of shock, Chunda said angrily, If you don't hand over 10,000 pieces of origin crystals, don't blame us 3 brothers for being rude. Noisy. Frowning slightly, Ningyu's face was a little cold. Swoosh. Just as Ningyu's voice fell, Chunda rose from the ground. His speed skyrocketed, and he instantly appeared in front of Ningyu. Then, a fist with violent origin chi violently smashed towards Ningyu's head. Seeking death. Facing Chen Da's fierce attack, Ningyu raised his right hand and grabbed Chen Da's fist. Crack! His palm exerted a little force and directly broke Chen Da's wrist. With his wrist broken, Chen Da screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Then, beads of sweat the size of beans dripped continuously from his forehead. Big brother! Chen Da's pitiful state caused Chen Er and Chen San's expressions to change drastically. Both of their feet touched the ground, and they dashed towards Ningyu from both sides. Bang! Bang! However, before Chen Er and Chen San could reach Ningyu, they were hit in the chest by 2 solid palm prints. Their bodies flew out and heavily hit the door of the Alchemy Union. Poochie! Poochie! After spitting out 2 mouthfuls of blood, Chen Er and Chen San's breathing became slightly weak. At this time, Ningyu stood up and walked in front of Chunda. He said calmly, Tell me, who ordered you to come here? Little brat, no one ordered us. At this point, Chunda had no choice but to admit defeat. It was his fault for not asking around and underestimating his opponent. Looks like you won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. The corner of his mouth curled up. Then Ningyu changed the topic and coldly said, "Since you dare to come here and cause trouble, you should know the consequences. Lu Shan, find a room. I want to personally interrogate the three of them." "Yes, young Master Ning." Lu Shan had already witnessed Ningyu's super strong fighting ability. Thus, he did not show any special reaction. Instead, he ordered his subordinates to bring Chen De and his two brothers to a quiet room. Ningyu stood up and entered the room. After Ningyu left, the Alchemy Union's lobby finally erupted with waves of exclamations. Ningyu is indeed powerful. Defeating the three of them was as easy as blowing off dust. Of course. In the previous innate realm ranking, Ningyu was ranked 1000. After the battle 3 days ago, some people speculated that Ningyu would be ranked 100 in the next innate realm ranking. Almost. To be able to kill Lin Jingtian, who was in the middle stage of the true martial realm, he could even be ranked in the top 50. While the people in the lobby were busy discussing, there were only 4 people in a quiet room in the Alchemy Union. Ningyu sat on a chair and glanced at the 3 men in black on the floor. He said calmly, "I only have 3 questions. If you can answer them honestly, I promise not to kill you." Chapter 136. First question, why do you want to go against me? Ningyu asked directly. Without hesitation, Chen De said, "We accepted an assassination mission in the black market. As long as we can kill you, we will be rewarded with 100,000 high-grade origin crystals." Someone issued an assassination mission? Frowning, Ningyu continued, "Second question, who issued the assassination mission?" "Young Master Ning, we really don't know." Hearing this question, Chen De panicked and said, "Other than the upper echelons of the black market, no one knows who issued the mission. We were just passing by Tianxian City and accepted the assassination mission in the black market. As for who issued the mission, we don't know." Ningyu also had some understanding of the assassination missions issued in the black market. Chen De was not lying. Other than the upper echelons of the black market, even those who accepted the mission did not know who issued the mission. Since that was the case, Ningyu did not want to dwell on it. Instead, he asked the third question, "Do the 3 of you act alone?" "Act alone?" Chen De was stunned for a moment. He did not understand what Ningyu meant. However, as a Xiantian full-cycle cultivator, his intelligence was not low. He reacted quickly. After coming back to his senses, Chen De said, "The 3 of us act alone. We have not joined any factions." "Good, very good." Nodding, Ningyu said, "You don't need to go anywhere in the future. Just stay in Tianxian City." Ning. "Young Master Ning, you must let us join the Ning family." Even though he had guessed what Ningyu was thinking, hearing Ningyu say it himself, Chen De still found it hard to accept. He even stuttered, "Young Master Ning, the 3 of us are used to acting alone." "Humph. Now you have 2 choices." Interrupting Chen Da's words, Ningyu said coldly, "First, stay in Tianxian City. Second, die." The moment the word die fell, Ningyu released his aura. The origin energy in the 2 cyclones gushed out and suppressed Chen De and the rest. Chi. When such a powerful aura pressed down on Chen De and the rest, it immediately caused them to be unable to breathe, while their faces turned deathly pale. "You have already reached the true martial realm." Chen De endured the strong pressure around him and said with difficulty, "We promise you that we will stay in Tianxian City." "Humph. For now, I'll feign civility and wait for an opportunity to escape." On the surface, he agreed to Ningyu's request. However, Chen De snorted coldly in his heart. "What you did to the 3 of us today, we will make you pay back double." How could Ningyu not know what Chen De was thinking in his heart? However, he did not expose him. Instead, he said indifferently, "Even though you promised to stay in Profound Sky City, I don't really trust you." After pondering for a moment, Ningyu said, How about this? Relax your minds. No matter what happens later, don't resist. Relax my mind. Chunda's mouth was slightly agape. He did not know what Ningyu was planning to do. However, in order to survive, he could only do as he was told. Beside him, Chen Er and Chen San followed their elder brother and relaxed their minds. Xiao! 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 In the next moment, 3 wisps of soul force shot out from Ningyu's body at an extremely fast speed. In an instant, they drilled into the minds of Chunda and the other 2 and hid in their consciousness seas. You actually placed your soul force in our consciousness seas. Feeling the additional wisps of soul force in their consciousness seas, Chunda exclaimed, "You want to control our life and death. I am not interested in your life and death." Shrugging his shoulders, Ningyu said, "As long as you stay in Tianxian City obediently for 1 or 2 years, I will naturally take back my soul force. In these 2 years, I will not restrict your actions, but I have a request." Staring sharply at Chunda and the others, Ningyu said in a deep voice, "As long as the Ning family is in trouble, you must help them unconditionally." Ningyu was very clear that once Ning Hai left Tianxian City and went to the capital, some Tom, Dick, and Harry would definitely jump out. Although the Ning family had completely controlled Tianxian City, they had also offended a lot of people. In case of an expert attacking the Ning family, Ning Tang and Ning He would definitely not be able to resist them. At this time, if Chunda and the other 2 brothers helped the Ning family, the situation would definitely be reversed. After all, Chunda and the other 2 brothers were not weak. Each of them was at the peak of the innate realm. If they joined forces, they could compete with a martial artist at the early stage of the real martial realm. Of course, as long as you are obedient, 1 year later, I promise to give each of you a true martial elixir to help you advance to the real martial realm. Ningyu knew that Chunda and the others could only be subdued by a combination of carrot and stick. Is that true? Sure enough, as soon as Ningyu's voice fell, Chunda and the other 2 opened their eyes wide and exclaimed, "As long as you give us 3 true martial elixirs, let alone 2 years, even if it's 3 years, we are willing." Although the true martial elixir was only a 4th-grade elixir, it was no less precious than a 5th-grade elixir. Because the main ingredient needed to refine the true martial elixir was controlled by some aristocratic families, the price of the true martial elixir remained high, even more expensive than ordinary 5th-grade elixirs. Remember what you said. 1 year later, go to the capital to find me. At that time, I will naturally give each of you a true martial elixir. After saying that, Ningyu got up and left the room, leaving Chunda and the other 2 brothers, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Ningyu didn't care about Chunda and the other 2 at all. After coming out of the room, he directly went to find Lu Shan. "I'll go back first. When Chairman Zhou comes out, you can go to the Ning family to find me." Ningyu didn't want to stay here for too long and wanted to go back to the Ning family. Bang! However, as soon as he finished speaking, before he moved, a clear sound rang, and then a low curse came from the alchemy room. Damn it, just a little bit more." Then, Zhou Tong walked out of the alchemy room with a gloomy face. You could vaguely hear him mumbling something. "Chairman Zhou, it seems like you ran into some problems while refining the true martial elixir," Ningyu stopped and said. Zhou Tong looked up at Ningyu and sighed, "Just a little bit more. If I wasn't too impatient at the last moment, I might have made the true martial elixir." "Chairman Zhou, I am also quite interested in the true martial elixir. Can I take a look at the leftovers from your pill?" Ningyu asked calmly. "You want to take a look?" Hearing this, Zhou Tong was startled at first, then he said, "All right, it's in the alchemy room. Go take a look yourself. I need to rest for a bit. I will try to make the next batch of true martial elixir later. I don't believe I can't make it today." "Thank you, Chairman Zhou." After thanking Zhou Tong, Ningyu walked into the alchemy room. As for Zhou Tong, He went to another room to take a break and prepare to make the second batch of true martial elixir. The leftovers are a little black. Chapter 137. It's not that I was too impatient when I was forming the pill, but that there was a problem with the ingredients. The true martial pill had strict requirements for the ingredient. A slight mistake would lead to the final failure of the pill. Ningyu knew that if Zhou Tong followed the ingredients, it was basically impossible to refine the true martial pill. Blowing off the residue on his hand, Ningyu slowly left the alchemy room. Young Master Ning. Lu Shan had been guarding outside the alchemy room. When Ningyu came out, he quickly greeted him and said, "Please take a rest inside." "No need," Ningyu said. "I'll wait here. You can go back to work first." "Then please wait." After bidding farewell to Ningyu, Lu Shan went to preside over the alchemy exam. As for Ningyu, he stood at the door of the alchemy room, recalling the refining method of the true martial pill in his mind. Although Ningyu had refined the true martial pill in his previous life, ever since he became a 6th-grade alchemist, he had never refined the true martial pill again. And there were too many details to pay attention to in refining the true martial pill. Even with the memory of his previous life, Ningyu dared not say that he could successfully refine the true martial pill now. Now that his cultivation had reached the late stage of pre-celestial and was not far from the true martial realm, it was very necessary to prepare a true martial pill. Russell. Not long after, Zhou Tong came to the door of the alchemy room with a face full of joy. Seeing Zhou Tong, Ningyu was slightly startled and asked doubtfully, "Chairman Zhou, you've rested so quickly?" Refining the true martial pill consumed a lot of energy. Ningyu did not believe that Zhou Tong could adjust his mental state to the best in such a short time. If his mental state was poor, then the second batch of true martial pill was destined to fail. "Ningyu, I've thought about it carefully. The reason why I failed to refine the true martial pill was completely because of a small problem." Zhou Tong was even a little excited as he said, "I want to strike while the iron is hot and refine a second batch of true martial pills." After pondering for a while, Ningyu said, "Chairman Zhou, I have a presumptuous request. When you are refining the true martial pellet, can I watch from the side?" "You want to observe?" Slightly startled, Zhou Tong looked at Ningyu with some astonishment before nodding his head and saying, "That's fine too. This time, you will be representing Xian Sky City's Alchemy Union at the capital to participate in the competition. I don't have much I can help you with, so I'll let you observe and learn some experience." In Zhou Tong's view, even though Ningyu's martial Dao strength was very strong, his alchemy standards were definitely not as high as his. Zhou Tong believed that Ningyu's alchemy level should be between peak 2nd grade to 3rd grade, or even some distance away from a 3rd-grade alchemist. "Thank you, Chairman Zhou." Ningyu cupped his fist. Don't call me Chairman Zhou in the future. It sounds so distant. Just call me Elder Zhou." Zhou Tong laughed. "Thank you, Elder Zhou." Ningyu once again said, "Come in with me. When I am refining, try not to speak." As he spoke, Zhou Tong entered the alchemy room first, while Ningyu followed behind him. Closing the door, Zhou Tong took out all the medicinal ingredients he needed from his storage pouch. With a flick of his wrist, a small alchemy cauldron appeared in his hand. Zhou Tong was not in a hurry to refine the pellet. Instead, he sorted out the medicinal ingredient. Then, with a flick of his wrist, he tossed the small alchemy cauldron into the air. Zhou Tong's right hand suddenly pointed forward. Instantly, a purple flame danced on his fingertip, continuously burning the bottom of the cauldron. Purple flame. Seeing the purple flame dancing on Zhou Tong's fingertip, Ningyu's expression turned serious and he couldn't help but exclaim. Purple flame was a type of natural fire. Even though it couldn't compare to the wind thunder fire, it was still pretty good for refining pellet. Crackle! In the next moment, Zhou Tong orderly placed the medicinal ingredients into the cauldron. Then, he controlled the heat, sometimes increasing it, sometimes decreasing it. As the medicinal ingredients continued to be added, the cauldron began to make crackling sounds. This kind of noise didn't affect Zhou Tong at all. He was completely immersed in refining the pellet, completely forgetting about everything around him. I've almost entered a state where I forget myself. This kind of state is extremely rare. Zhou Tong was basically in a very ethereal state right now. The success rate of refining pellets had at least doubled. In other words, the pellets that he normally couldn't successfully refine could very well be refined in this state. Soon. I wonder if Zhou Tong will be able to adjust the ratio of the musk flowers in this state. The reason why Zhou Tong failed to refine the true martial pellet last time was because there was a problem with the ratio of the musk flowers. If he failed again this time, it was very likely that all his previous efforts would go to waste and he would once again fail to refine the true martial pellet. If he failed to refine the true martial pellet twice with full confidence, it would definitely be a huge blow to Zhou Tong. He might even be unable to recover from this setback. Let's wait and see. If the ratio is too different, I need to remind him. Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu's expression was somewhat solemn. Actually, unless it was absolutely necessary, Ning Yu didn't want to break Zhou Tong's ethereal state. After all, being able to enter this kind of state was of great help to raising his level of refining pellet. Swoosh! At this moment, Zhou Tong's left hand grabbed a few musk flowers and threw them towards the cauldron. 5 musk flowers. Too many. Seeing the musk flowers in Zhou Tong's hand, Ning Yu's eyes narrowed, and he wanted to remind him. However, Zhou Tong's left hand stopped above the cauldron. After some thought, he threw away 2 of the musk flowers and threw the remaining 3 into the cauldron. Phew! Seeing this, Ning Yu let out a long sigh and said, "Good, 3 musk flowers. Although it's half an extra, as long as he can maintain the ethereal state, forming the pellet shouldn't be a problem." Zhou Tong's current state was extremely good. After throwing the musk flowers into the cauldron, he immediately increased the speed of refining. Crack crack! The purple flame on his fingertips suddenly increased and the cauldron also crackled from the heat. "It should be almost done," Ning Yu murmured. Zhou Tong's face was also full of excitement. Once he successfully refined the true martial pellet, it meant that he had successfully advanced to a 4th-level alchemist. Poochie! However, the moment the pellet was formed, Zhou Tong suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned deathly pale. Then, his vision darkened and his body fell backwards. Not good! The sudden change caused Ning Yu's expression to change greatly, and he hurriedly dashed out like an arrow and hugged Zhou Tong. At this critical moment, Zhou Tong actually came out of the ethereal state. Because he didn't control the switching between the 2 states well, he lost consciousness. Wind, thunder, fire. Placing Zhou Tong on the ground, the wind thunder fire in Ning Yu's sea of consciousness surged out and supported the cauldron under the cauldron. Damn it! The an extra petal from the musk flowers has a problem now. Ning Yu couldn't help but curse. The wind thunder fire was of a higher level than the purple flame. His alchemy experience was richer than Zhou Tong's and his soul force wasn't bad either. Originally, he thought that with a little help at the final stage of forming the pellet, he would successfully refine the true martial pellet. Chapter 138. I have to force the extra half petal out. After a short moment of panic, Ning Yu regained his composure. The wind, thunder, and fire in his sea of consciousness poured out, burning crazily at the bottom of the cauldron. At the same time, Ning Yu's mind moved, and the yuan qi in the 6 cyclones burst out, all gathering at the bottom of the cauldron. Sizzle! The sizzling sound of the yuan qi burning was heard in the cauldron. Ning Yu didn't have time to enjoy the beautiful music. He displayed his 4th-grade soul power and paid close attention to the situation inside the cauldron. Ningyu knew that he was not in the ethereal state right now, so he had to be extremely careful. He could not make the slightest mistake, or else this cauldron of true martial Dan would not be successful. As time went on, the extra half petal in the cauldron gradually moved from the bottom of the cauldron to the top. Come out! With a low growl, Ningyu patted the cauldron, and suddenly a drop of black liquid flew out. Boom! Ningyu flicked his finger, and a wave of yuan qi rushed out, dispersing the black liquid. Done! In the next second, Ningyu threw the cauldron into the air, and then controlled the lid with his soul power. Then, a slightly black round Dan flew out from the cauldron. Pop! The moment he saw the Dan, Ningyu's eyes focused, and he grabbed it in his hand. It's a high-grade true martial Dan. Looking at the Dan in his hand, Ningyu was a little shocked, and felt that it was unbelievable. Originally, Ningyu thought that even if he could make a true martial Dan, it would most likely be a low-grade true martial Dan. After all, he was in danger, and he was not in the ethereal state. Who would have thought that he would make a high-grade true martial Dan? After a short moment of shock, Ningyu looked at Zhou Tong, who was still unconscious, and mumbled, "Chairman Zhou should be waking up soon." After some thought, Ningyu put the true martial Dan in the cauldron, and then pretended to be unconscious. Ouch! About a quarter of an hour later, Zhou Tong opened his eyes and rubbed his slightly aching head. I remember I fell asleep the moment the true martial Dan was formed. That's right. True martial Dan. Just as he opened his eyes, before Zhou Tong could think too much, his expression changed greatly. He hurriedly stood up from the ground and grabbed the pill furnace in his hand. Top grade true martial Dan. Opening the lid and seeing the black pill lying inside, Zhou Tong's jaw dropped. The shock on his face was no less than Ningyu's. Did I refine a high-grade true martial Dan? He tried his best to recall what had happened before he fainted, but regrettably, Zhou Tong only remembered that he had fainted when he was about to form the pill. He had no idea what had happened after that. Right, Ningyu. Seeing Ningyu lying on the ground, Zhou Tong hurriedly woke him up. Elder Zhou, why am I sleeping here? Waking up from his coma, Ningyu first shook his head. Then, seeing the true martial Dan in Zhou Tong's hand, he exclaimed, Elder Zhou, you refined a high-grade true martial Dan. Elder Zhou, don't look at me. The moment the pill was formed, I suddenly felt my head sink and I fainted. Seeing Zhou Tong's confused expression, Ningyu's face was a little disappointed. What a pity that I couldn't see the moment the pill was formed. All right. Hearing this, Zhou Tong sighed and put the true martial Dan back into the jade bottle. He then said, Ningyu, go back and get ready. We'll leave for the capital tomorrow morning. All right, I'll go back and get ready. We'll meet at the city gate tomorrow morning. Nodding, Ningyu said goodbye to Zhou Tong and left the alchemy union. Looking at Ningyu's back, Zhou Tong's mind became more and more confused. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. There was only him and Ningyu in the alchemy room. Since he couldn't remember the process of forming the Dan, then there was a high chance that Ningyu remembered. Furthermore, a bold idea arose in his mind. The high-grade true martial Dan in the jade bottle was refined by Ningyu. While Zhou Tong was doubting it, Ningyu had already returned to the Ning family. Inside the room, Ningyu took out a few high-grade essence crystals, activated the spirit transformation art, and began cultivating. The path of cultivation was like rowing a boat against the current. If you don't move forward, you'll fall behind. The quality of this body was much worse than in his previous life. Ningyu had to put in a lot more effort to reach the height of his previous life. Swoosh! In the evening, when Ningyu was cultivating, a black figure suddenly appeared beside him. Who? The sudden appearance of the figure caused Ningyu to stand up instantly. Holding the soul-breaking sword horizontally in his hand, he shouted coldly, What do you want? At this moment, Ningyu gripped the soul-breaking sword tightly and the essence qi in his sea of consciousness began to churn. As long as the figure in front of him dared to move, he would strike first. Your reaction is somewhat out of my expectations. The martial artist in black smiled and said, Father? Hearing this, Ningyu opened his mouth and quickly kept the soul-breaking sword. Why are you here? Walking to the chair and sitting down, Ninghai said, I originally planned to leave tomorrow morning, but now I've changed my mind. I'll leave tonight. Before I leave, there's something I need to tell you. With a slightly solemn expression, Ninghai said in a deep voice, Tomorrow, you'll be heading to the capital with Zhou Tong. I hope that you can enter Danwu College to cultivate. Father, you want me to enter Danwu College? Ningyu asked doubtfully, but I've already missed the ice cave assessment. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for me to enter Danwu College. You don't have to worry about this. Waving his hand, Ninghai flicked his sleeve, and suddenly a semicircular blue pendant appeared in his hand. When the time comes, give this pendant to an old man named Wu Xie from Danwu College. He will help you. Wu Xie. Frowning slightly, Ningyu seemed to have a slight impression of this name, but he could not grasp it. Swoosh. At this moment, Ninghai's figure flashed and he left the room. Remember, before you see Wu Xie, remember not to let anyone see this pendant. Although Ningyu had left the room, Ninghai's voice still echoed in his ears. Blue pendant. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu released his soul power and wanted to enter the pendant. Chi. However, as soon as his soul power entered the pendant, it was devoured. Devouring pendant? His eyes narrowed. Ningyu was shocked. He did not expect the semicircular pendant in his hand to be the devouring pendant. Forget it, I better make some preparations. I still have to go to the capital with Elder Zhou tomorrow. Shaking his head, Ningyu kept the pendant in his storage ring. The next morning, when the first ray of sunlight rose, Ningyu bid farewell to Ningtang and rushed towards the city gates of Tianxian City. Not long later, Ningyu arrived at the city gates of Tianxian City. Elder Zhou, sorry to have kept you waiting. Seeing Zhou Tong, Ningyu was a little embarrassed. He did not expect him to arrive so early. My apologies. Ningyu, I just arrived as well. Zhou Tong smiled and said, I can't set off now. There's another person coming. There's another person? Ningyu was taken aback and asked, Elder Zhou, is there someone else participating in the alchemy conference? Voila! At this moment, the void in the sky trembled and countless air currents gathered at one spot. Chapter 139. Khanate Peak. Ningyu's eyes narrowed and a look of shock appeared on his face when he sensed the fluctuation of yuan qi around the white-robed man. However, what shocked Ningyu the most was not the man's cultivation level, but the strength of his soul. Third-tier early-stage alchemist. A Tier 3 alchemist. Ningyu was slightly surprised as he glanced at the 3-star emblem on the white-robed man's shoulder. The man in white was about the same age as him. His cultivation level had reached the Khanate Peak and his alchemy level had reached the 3rd tier. Leader Zhou, is this the person representing Tianxian City's alchemy union? The white-clothed man sized up Ningyu, and then he said indifferently, You have a good relationship with my master. Do you want me to talk to him and introduce my junior brother to you? My junior brother is a 2nd-tier intermediate-stage alchemist. With him representing Tianxian City, I believe you won't be at the bottom. Ahem, let me introduce, this is Ning. Zhou Tong coughed. However, before Zhou Tong could finish his sentence, the man in white waved his hand and said impatiently, Leader Zhou, let's hurry up. After all, we won't be traveling very fast. As he spoke, the man in white stomped on the ground and his body turned into a blur as he dashed into the distance. Seeing this, Ningyu did not make a move immediately. Instead, he asked, Elder Zhou, who is this? Why is he so imposing? His name is Bai Fei. He is from Mingwang City's Alchemy Union. Bai Fei's master and I are friends. His master asked me to bring him to the capital. Smiling bitterly, Zhou Tong explained, Bai Fei used to be mediocre. His cultivation level was only at the early stage of the Khanate stage, and his alchemy level was only a first-tier alchemist. Who would have thought that a month ago, his cultivation level would skyrocket to the Khanate peak and his alchemy level would pass the third-tier alchemist test. Bai Fei's alchemy level, even in Danwu College, is comparable to the second or third-year students. Ningyu, don't be discouraged. In the end, fearing that Ningyu would suffer a blow, Zhou Tong said, although your alchemy skills might be slightly lower than Bai Fei's, your martial arts skills are several streets ahead of him. Haha, old Zhou, don't worry. I am confident that I will obtain a good ranking for Xian Tianxian City. Ningyu said with a smile. Nodding, Zhou Tong said, It's good that you think this way. Let's set off quickly. Bai Fei isn't slow. Following that, the Yuan Qi in Zhou Tong's sea of consciousness surged, and he instantly fled far away. As he knew of Ningyu's martial prowess, Zhou Tong did not slow down during his journey. Instead, he constantly sped up in an attempt to catch up to Ningyu. This Bai Fei is a little strange. Although Bai Fei tried his best to conceal it, Ningyu still caught a hint of something unusual. However, now was not the time to think too much about it. Ningyu shot forward and caught up to Zhou Tong in no time. After catching up to Zhou Tong, Ningyu maintained his speed and ran side by side with Zhou Tong. That brat's speed is actually this fast? Not far away, Bai Fei slowed down a little and looked back. Seeing that Ningyu and Zhou Tong were getting closer and closer, his face turned cold as he said coldly, Brat who still smells of his mother's milk, I don't believe that you can catch up to me today. After that cold shout, Bai Fei sped up once more, instantly doubling his speed. Damn it! If not for the fact that I have some ties with his master, I definitely wouldn't be traveling with him. Zhou Tong cursed inwardly as the Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness surged, doubling his speed as well. Chase after him. Ningyu did not expect Zhou Tong to be so angry, so he immediately increased his speed and followed closely behind him. Although Zhou Tong was half a step into the true martial realm, he was no match for Bai Fei in terms of speed. No matter how much he increased his speed, he could not catch up. Knowing that his speed was no match for Bai Fei, Zhou Tong chose to give up. He slowed down and followed slowly. Looking back, he saw that Zhou Tong and the others had slowed down. Bai Fei also felt bored and slowed down. From Tianxian City to the capital, there was a path that one had to pass through, and that was Tiger Head Valley. Tiger Head Valley was located at the border between Tianxian City and Wise Ruler City. The terrain was like a giant tiger's head, hence the name Tiger Head Valley. The entrance of Tiger Head Valley was relatively wide, but the exit was extremely narrow, allowing only one person to pass through at a time. Sha. In the forest, 3 silhouettes quickly passed by. Not long later, they came to a stop. Tiger Head Valley is up ahead. Let's rest here for a while and enter after we've recovered to our peak, Zhou Tong said after stopping. Chairman Zhou, I think you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Curling his lips, Bai Fei said indifferently, although Tiger Head Valley's terrain is dangerous, it's only for those with low cultivation. If you want to rest, you guys can rest. I'll make a move first. With that, Bai Fei tapped the ground with his toes and leaped into Tiger Head Valley, quickly disappearing from sight. Looking at Bai Fei's disappearing figure, Zhou Tong's face turned extremely gloomy. Gritting his teeth, he said, Ningyu, let's go in as well. Originally, Zhou Tong wanted to rest here for a while, but since Bai Fei had rushed in, there was no need for him to stay and rest. If Bai Fei encountered any danger, it would be difficult for him to explain to Bai Fei's master when he reached the capital. Xiao. In the blink of an eye, Ningyu and Zhou Tong entered Tiger Head Valley. Bai Fei. Not long after entering Tiger Head Valley, Ningyu saw a familiar figure not far away. Why is he standing there? Zhou Tong, who was beside him, was a little puzzled. Wait. However, before Zhou Tong could move, Ningyu grabbed his shoulder and said in a deep voice, Elder Zhou, there are at least 10 Xiantian full-circle martial artists around Bai Fei. There are even 2 at the early stage of the true martial realm, and 1 at the peak of the middle stage of the true martial realm. Hearing Ningyu's warning, even though Zhou Tong was half a step into the true martial realm, he could not help but gasp. With such a lineup, if they were to attack, they would not be able to fight back at all. Although Ningyu was strong and killed Lin Jingtian, who was in the middle stage of true martial realm, Zhou Tong was very clear that Lin Jingtian had just advanced to the middle stage of true martial realm. Compared to an expert in the middle stage of true martial realm, the difference was like heaven and earth. Don't tell me their target is us? Thinking of this, Zhou Tong's face turned extremely ugly. Did they not check the almanac before coming out this time? Or was there someone who had a problem with the Alchemy Union? How dare they surround and attack people from the Alchemy Union? Compared to Zhou Tong, Ningyu's face was much more solemn. Even his heart had sunk to the bottom. Chapter 140. 12 Complete Xiantian Realm, 2 Early Stage True Martial Realm, and 1 Peak Middle Stage True Martial Realm Martial Artist. Inside Tiger Head Valley, Bai Fei's face was extremely gloomy as a cold light flashed in his eyes. What bad luck! I haven't even reached the capital yet and I've already encountered such big trouble. A ruthless look appeared on Bai Fei's face as he said in a deep voice, Everyone, come out and talk. Xiao, 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 Xiao. The next moment, several whooshing sounds rang out as a large number of martial artists appeared around Bai Fei. Old Ghost Xiao. Seeing the old man leading the group, Bai Fei was slightly startled and said, I have no enmity with you, why are you stopping me here? So it's Genius Bai Fei of the Alchemy Union. Old Ghost Xiao stood in the air with his hands behind his back, his aura calm. At this moment, he smiled slightly, but his face suddenly changed as he said gloomily, Do I need to ask you for instructions when I do things? With that, Old Ghost Xiao's figure flashed and appeared in front of Ningyu. The corner of his mouth rose as he looked at Ningyu and said, Ningyu, I didn't expect that after 3 days, you've already cultivated to late-stage true martial realm. Old Ghost Xiao, you're not bad yourself. Peak middle-stage true martial realm, just 1 step away from late-stage true martial realm. Taking a step forward, Ningyu said, You really think highly of me, to send more than a dozen complete Xiantian realm martial artists at once. Even a lion uses its full strength to catch a rabbit, let alone a hungry wolf like you. The corner of Old Ghost Xiao's mouth rose as he shrugged and said, Last time, you were lucky enough to escape. Today, even if you grow wings, you won't escape. 3 days ago, he failed to catch Ningyu. After returning, Old Ghost Xiao used all his strength to investigate Ningyu. This investigation was not a big deal, but it really shocked him. When he was in the middle stage of the Xiantian realm, he could actually kill Lin Jingtian, who was in the middle stage of the true martial realm. Even if Lin Jingtian was just a dabbler in the middle stage of the true martial realm, it was enough to show that Ningyu was not a simple person. Moreover, the 5th-grade alchemist Mu Tuo had doubled his offer. As long as they could capture Ningyu alive, he would refine 2 5th-grade elixirs for each of them. This kind of bargaining chip that moved the heart of Old Xiao was something he could never refuse. Therefore, to be on the safe side, Old Ghost Xiao used all his strength and brought 12 Xiantian peak martial artists. Last time? Could it be that Ningyu had already fought with Old Ghost Xiao? Furthermore, I managed to escape from him. On the side, hearing the conversation between Ningyu and Old Ghost Xiao, Bai Fei was somewhat moved and re-examined Ningyu. Old Ghost Xiao was a martial artist at the peak of the middle stage of the true martial realm. To be able to escape from his hands, he could be considered to have some skill. I am the president of Tianxian City's Alchemist Union. Is there some kind of misunderstanding? Zhou Tong took a step forward and said, "It is better to make enemies than to resolve them. In my opinion, we should all sit down and have a good talk." You two are also from the Alchemist Union? Hearing this, old Ghost Xiu was slightly surprised and said, "I originally planned to let you go, but now it seems that I can't." Old Ghost Xiu was not stupid. Although his cultivation had reached the peak of the middle stage of the true martial realm, the Alchemist Union was a colossus. If he offended the Alchemist Union, even if he advanced to the Yuan Dan realm, he would not be able to escape misfortune. "Second brother, why are you talking nonsense with them? Leave this old man to me and Bai Fei to fourth brother." At this moment, Gao Shi took a step forward and coldly said, "As for Ning Yu, second brother, you deal with him." "Yes, second brother, I have just advanced to the true martial realm and need to find someone to practice with." Looking at Bai Fei, Li Gang evilly smiled and said, "Xiantian Peak, barely passable." "All right." Nodding his head, old Ghost Xiu turned to the many Xiantian Peak martial artists and said, "All of you go to the entrance of Tiger Head Valley and guard it. Without my order, don't let a fly in." "Yes." The 12 perfected Xiantian martial artists leaped up and flew out of Tiger Head Valley in unison. These Xiantian Peak martial artists lined up at the entrance of Tiger Head Valley. Even a true martial realm early-stage martial artist would not dare to barge into Tiger Head Valley. "Jie, old man, it's your bad luck to meet me." With a strange laugh, Gao Shi leaned forward like a cheetah and locked his aura on Zhou Tong. In the next moment, Gao Shi directly rushed toward Zhou Tong. "Damn it!" Seeing Gao Shi rushing toward Zhou Tong, a cold killing intent flashed across Ning Yu's face. In an instant, a violent yuan qi surged out from his body. Ning Yu's arms shook and a tyrannical attack swept out from his arms. His figure flashed and appeared in front of Gao Shi. "Go!" A low shout sounded in Ning Yu's heart. Immediately, he pushed his right fist forward and directly attacked Gao Shi's head. The fist wrapped in violent yuan qi, with a violent sound of breaking the wind, fiercely smashed toward Gao Shi's head. Sensing that Ning Yu's fist was about to hit his head, Gao Shi's complexion changed because this kind of attack had exceeded the limit that a true martial realm early-stage martial artist could display. In a hurry, he hurriedly crossed his arms in front of his body and surged his yuan qi, hoping to defend against Ning Yu's attack. "Ning Yu, your opponent is me. Xiu Devil's Claw." However, just as the fist was about to hit Gao Shi, a low shout sounded. Immediately, old Ghost Xiu rose from the ground, his right fist turned into a claw, and fiercely grabbed at Ning Yu's fist. Bang! The fist wrapped in violent yuan qi collided with old Ghost Xiu's sharp claw, and suddenly a muffled sound resounded in Tiger Head Valley. Poochie! The huge force from the fist caused Ning Yu's complexion to change. His body retreated a few steps before he could stabilize his body. After stabilizing his body, Ning Yu spat out a mouthful of dark red blood. His eyes stared at old Ghost Xiu, his face full of disbelief. "You have advanced to the late stage of true martial realm." "What? Late stage of true martial realm?" Before old Ghost Xiu could answer, Zhou Tong's pupils shrank, and a touch of despair appeared on his face. "He is a martial artist at the late stage of true martial realm." Late stage of true martial realm. At this moment, Bai Fei's complexion became extremely grave. If old Ghost Xiu was only a martial artist at the peak of the middle stage of true martial realm, he could safely retreat without exposing his trump card. However, now that old Ghost Xiu had advanced to the late stage of true martial realm, it meant that if he didn't expose his trump card, it was basically impossible to leave here. "Old Zhou, I will hold old Ghost Xiu and the others. You leave Tiger Head Valley immediately." Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu said in a deep voice. There are 12 Xiantian great perfection martial artists outside Tiger Head Valley. In my opinion, it is better to go deep into Tiger Head Valley and leave from the exit. At this time, Bai Fei also temporarily abandoned his prejudice against Ningyu. After all, Ningyu had forcefully resisted a move from old Ghost Xiao, who was at the late stage of true martial realm. Even if it was him, he was not necessarily any better than Ningyu. No. The exit is too dangerous. Old Ghost Xiao and the others must have set up an ambush. Ningyu knew that outside Tiger Head Valley, there was a martial artist at least at the late stage of true martial realm guarding. Leaving from there was tantamount to throwing away his life. Chapter 141. Leave. The corner of old Ghost Xiao's mouth slightly raised. Immediately, his figure flashed and instantly appeared in front of Zhou Tong. His iron-like fist fiercely punched towards Zhou Tong's cheek. At this moment, old Ghost Xiao's late-stage true martial realm aura was completely revealed. The powerful aura emitted from his body made Zhou Tong somewhat breathless. Quickly leave Tiger Head Valley. If we delay any longer, no one will be able to leave. With a flick of his wrist, the soul-breaking sword appeared in his hand. Ningyu shouted in a low voice, "Old Zhou, after you leave Tiger Head Valley, find a way to go to the capital. If I can leave, then we will meet in the capital. Let's go." Zhou Tong was not an indecisive person. He knew that the difference in strength between him and Ningyu was too big. Staying here would not be of any help and would only add to the chaos. With his half-step true martial realm cultivation, even Gao Shi was not his opponent, let alone the late-stage true martial realm old Ghost Xiao. Xiao. In the next moment, Zhou Tong and Bai Fei rose from the ground and rushed out of Tiger Head Valley. Seeing that Zhou Tong and Li Gang were about to leave, Gao Shi and Li Gang revealed a ruthless expression and chased after them. Heaven Fiend's sword wave. With a cold expression, Ningyu waved the soul-breaking sword. Suddenly, two shocking sword auras appeared. With an extremely violent speed, they chased after Gao Shi and Li Gang. In a moment, they arrived in front of them. Then, under the horrified eyes of Gao Shi and Li Gang, the shocking sword auras suddenly became bigger and finally hit their chests. Bang! Bang! Next, two crisp sounds came out. Gao Shi and Li Gang's bodies were like kites with broken strings, falling straight to the ground. Shua! After repelling Gao Shi and Li Gang, Ningyu did not stop. Instead, the Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness surged and gathered on his wrist. Human desolate palm. Both palms were pushed out. The surrounding air seemed to be greatly oppressed and scattered. Two human-shaped palm prints appeared in front of Gao Shi and Li Gang and then fiercely smashed towards their heads. Soul attack technique. When the human desolate palm was thrown out, old Ghost Xiao's face drastically changed. He could feel a tremble from the depths of his soul. Go! Old Ghost Xiao's face turned cold and he flicked his fingers, sending out two rays of cold light that collided with the human desolate palm. In the next moment, the human desolation palm and the cold light simultaneously dissipated between heaven and earth. Seeing that the desolate man palm had been scattered, Gao Shi and Li Gang felt as if they had just survived a calamity as beads of sweat appeared on their foreheads. Old Zhou and Bai Fei should have left Tiger Head Valley by now. Glancing at Zhou Tong and Bai Fei who had almost disappeared, Ningyu's heart was slightly relieved. Ningyu knew that with Bai Fei and Zhou Tong's strength, it wouldn't be difficult for them to escape from 12 Xiantian full-circle martial artists. After all, Zhou Tong was half a step into the true martial realm, while Bai Fei's strength should not be lower than the early stage of the true martial realm. Old Ghost Xiao, it's time to settle the score between us. Turning to look at old Ghost Xiao, Ningyu said in a deep voice, "You've tried to kill me time and time again, do you really think I'm afraid of you?" With that said, with a thought, Ningyu's clothes were replaced by a dark golden armor. Phantom armor! At this moment, Ningyu summoned the phantom armor. Ningyu, today, I will let you know the gap between the late stage of the Xiantian realm and the late stage of the true martial realm. Seeing the dark golden armor emerging on Ningyu's body, old Ghost Xiu's face was slightly dignified, but that was all. After all, he could feel that the phantom armor was only a mid-grade earth-step defensive magic treasure. Old Ghost Xiu, do you think my strength is only at the late stage of the Xiantian realm? The corner of Ningyu's mouth rose as his body shook. Immediately, the qi in the 6 cyclones all burst out and gathered on the surface of his body. Hiss! The powerful qi that gathered around Ningyu made even old Ghost Xiu, who had reached the late stage of the true martial realm, feel a headache as he sucked in a breath of cold air. The strength of the qi in your sea of consciousness is actually so strong. The strength of the qi in each of Ningyu's cyclones was equivalent to that of a martial artist at the early stage of the true martial realm. 6 cyclones, the strength of the qi was equivalent to the total strength of 6 martial artists at the early stage of the true martial realm. If a late-stage Xiantian realm martial artist had such a strong qi, what would happen if he advanced to the Xiantian Great Circle or even the early stage of the true martial realm? Therefore, old Ghost Xiu made up his mind to capture Ningyu alive no matter what. If he couldn't capture him alive, then he would destroy him. Heaven Fiend Sword Wave. Ignoring old Ghost Xiu's shock, Ningyu waved the soul-breaking sword again and again. In an instant, 6 sword waves formed and surrounded old Ghost Xiu in the middle. The reason why Ningyu didn't use his full strength was because he was afraid of the peak powerhouses hidden around and didn't want to expose too many of his cards. Insignificant skill. Although he was shocked, old Ghost Xiu was, after all, a late-stage true martial realm martial artist. It was impossible for him to be scared by Ningyu. His hands grasped the void and suddenly 6 balls of qi light were caught in his hands. Then, he suddenly threw them at Ningyu's sword wave. Chi 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 chi. Next, 6 crisp sounds rang out. Then, the qi light balls and the Heaven Fiend sword wave dispersed at the same time, and the aftermath spread out. Bang! 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 The powerful aftermath shook the surrounding cliffs, causing gravel to fall down. Xiu! At this moment, old Ghost Xiu suddenly rushed out and in the blink of an eye, arrived in front of Ningyu. His fist brought up a violent qi wind as it fiercely punched towards Ningyu's head. This punch was powerful and heavy, containing the qi wind of a late-stage true martial realm martial artist. If Ningyu was unlucky enough to be hit, even if he didn't die, he would be crippled. Netherworld Samsara Palm, Netherworld Fiend. In a split second, Ningyu flicked his wrist, gathered his soul force, wind, thunder, and fire in his palm, and then pushed it out. A nearly tangible palm print fiercely collided with old Ghost Xiu's fist. Go! The moment the fist and palm collided, a touch of soul force and a touch of wind, thunder, and fire quietly entered old Ghost Xiu's fist. Not good. Soul attack technique. After the first blow, old Ghost Xiu, who originally wanted to launch a second attack, had an extremely ugly complexion and hurriedly retreated. This was because he felt 2 rays of cold light enter his body from his fists and wreak havoc inside. Good chance. Teisho Kenpo. The change in old Ghost Xiu was noticed by Ningyu. He seized the opportunity and once again waved the soul-breaking sword. Rustling sounds rang out as an even more powerful sword wave was formed and fiercely slashed towards old Ghost Xiu's neck. Above the sword wave, the qi was majestic and vigorous, like thunder falling from the 9th heaven, buzzing. Old Ghost Xiu, it seems that you have just advanced to the late stage of the true martial realm, and your cultivation has not been completely stabilized. Glancing at the exit of Tiger Head Valley from the corner of his eyes, Ningyu lightly said, "If you wait until your cultivation has stabilized before you attack me, you might be able to kill me. But now only death awaits you." With a high degree of concentration, Ningyu always paid attention to the situation around him. Buzz. However, when Teisho Kenpo was about to slash old Ghost Shio's head, an illusory figure suddenly appeared in front of old Ghost Shio. Chapter 142. Seeing the figure that appeared, Ningyu's pupils shrank, and he could not help but retreat. Staring at the old woman in front of old Ghost Shio, Ningyu's expression became incomparably grave. Originally, he thought that the martial artist hidden outside the Tiger Head Valley was at the late stage of the true martial realm, or at most, the peak of the late stage. But now it seemed that he was wrong, and very wrong. Peak of the true martial realm. The old woman with the crutch had already reached the peak of the true martial realm. Looking at the powerful Yuan Qi fluctuations emitted from her body, she was not far from the Yuan Dan realm. Old Ghost Shio, you disappoint me. The old woman with the crutch patted old Ghost Shio's body, forcing out the wind, thunder, fire, and soul force in his body, and said indifferently, "A small late-stage Xiantian martial artist actually forced you to such a state. If I had not appeared in time, I'm afraid you would have already gone to see the King of Hell." Seeing the old woman with the crutch, old Ghost Shio trembled all over, and said in a trembling voice, "Elder, please give me another chance. This time, I will definitely tear Ningyu's body into 1,000 pieces." Waving her hand, the old woman with the crutch said, "No need. The young master has ordered us to rush to the capital immediately, so I will deal with this brat for you." Swish. As soon as she finished speaking, the old woman with the crutch's figure flashed, and in an instant, she appeared in front of Ningyu, who, swinging the crutch in her hand, it drew a beautiful arc in the air, and fiercely smashed towards Ningyu's face. At this critical moment, the broken soul sword in Ningyu's hand suddenly stabbed out, and it collided with the crutch. Ding! When the two collided, there was no earth-shattering sound. There was only a crisp sound. Poochie! However, the backlash from the palm of his hand caused Ningyu to retreat several feet before he could dispel it. Spurting out a mouthful of blood, Ningyu's face was slightly pale. Staring at the old woman with the crutch, Ningyu said in an incredulous voice, "True martial realm great completion, the Yuan Qi in your sea of consciousness has gradually turned into a liquid, and you are only one step away from the half-step Yuan Dan realm." Noisy. Obviously, the old woman with the crutch was a little impatient with Ningyu's shock. She took a step forward, and the liquid Yuan Qi in her sea of consciousness gushed out, forming an Yuan Dan in the air. Die. The liquid Yuan Dan was extremely fast. Before Ningyu could react, it had already arrived in front of him and fiercely smashed towards his heart. Kacha! However, the old woman with the crutch, 986, 6 heart, and the old woman with the great, old man with the Dan, 99, king 9 not, the old woman with 9910, yang 10, the great dragon Qing, the soul, 91199. Right, it's a small tortoise shell. After a short period of shock, Ningyu reacted. The thing that blocked the fatal blow in his heart was the small tortoise shell he got from the armored dragon tortoise. However, at this time, the small tortoise shell had cracks on it. Apparently, it was about to shatter. Damn it! Phantom armor, go! Cursing, Ningyu did not dare to stay here any longer. Wrapping his soul force around the phantom armor, he rushed out of the Tiger Head Valley. Although the phantom armor was only a middle-grade Earth-step artifact, its speed was not slow. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared. Elder, that brat Ningyu ran away. Seeing the old woman with the crutch remain indifferent, old man Shio anxiously said, "If we can't kill him today, there will be endless troubles in the future." Old man Shio knew the speed of Ningyu's growth. He was afraid that in another 3 days, Ningyu would be able to compete with the old woman with the crutch. Immediately go to the capital and meet up with the young master. As for Ningyu, leave him to me. The old woman with the crutch took the liquid Yuan Qi in the air back into her sea of consciousness, took a deep breath, and said in a deep voice, "In any case, we can't ruin the young master's plan." Understood. Although he wanted to chase after Ningyu personally, thinking of the young master's ruthlessness, old man Xiao nodded and said, "I will mobilize my men and secretly go to the capital." Immediately, the old woman with the crutch rushed out of the Tiger Head Valley. Just now, when Ningyu was not paying attention, the old woman with the crutch injected a special smell into the soul-breaking sword. Now, she just happened to follow the smell and chased after Ningyu. The old woman with the crutch is a true martial realm martial artist. I am absolutely not her opponent. After leaving the Tiger Head Valley, Ningyu wrapped his soul force around the phantom armor and raised his speed to the limit. Not long after, he sensed a powerful figure chasing after him. The phantom armor was a middle-grade earth-step magic weapon, and its speed was comparable to a peak middle-stage true martial realm martial artist, but in the face of the old woman with the crutch, who was at the true martial realm peak, it was obviously not as strong as she wished. "Boy, in front of me, you can't escape." The old woman with the crutch was not anxious at all, and slowly followed behind Ningyu. When Ningyu sped up, she sped up, and when Ningyu slowed down, she slowed down. "Hand over the treasure on you, and I can promise to leave your corpse intact." The reason why the old woman with the crutch was not so anxious was because she was looking at the small turtle shell on Ningyu's body. After all, it was a treasure that could resist her full blow. "Old fart, you want it, don't you?" In any case, his speed was not as fast as the old woman with the crutch, so Ningyu simply stopped and raised the small turtle shell in his hand. "I will not give it to you." With that, Ningyu forcefully swung the small turtle shell in the air and disappeared with a flash of starlight. "Good, very good anyway, I can get it after I kill you." The old woman with the crutch secretly remembered the landing point of the small turtle shell, and then lightly said, "In the future, remember not to offend people you shouldn't offend. Old fart, even if I die today, I will make you lose a layer of skin." Ningyu clenched his fists and said fiercely, "Hee, I am afraid you are not qualified to make me lose a layer of skin." With a slight smile, the old woman with the crutch immediately flashed out, her body turned into a shadow, and attacked Ningyu. In the face of the strong attack of the old woman with the crutch, Ningyu did not dare to be negligent. Holding the broken soul sword in his hand, he repeatedly slashed out several sword lights. At the same time, the yuan qi in his sea of consciousness surged, Ningyu's wrist made a sign, and in an instant, he blasted out several huge palm prints. F***CK, which bastard is it? Does he not want to live any more? While Ningyu and the old woman with the crutch were fighting, a loud scolding came from the bushes in the distance. "Damn it! How dare you disturb my rest? I think you must have eaten the heart of a bear and the courage of a leopard. No, I mean, how can a bear and leopard be my opponent?" With a curse, a black puppy rushed out of the bushes, holding the small turtle shell that Ningyu had thrown out in its mouth. "A turtle shell?" After a short scolding, the black puppy looked puzzled, put the turtle shell on the ground, and looked around. Chapter 143. Rumble. In the mountain forest, after the loud noise, Ningyu and the old woman with iron crutches both took a few steps back. The old woman with iron crutches stood with her hands behind her back, looked at Ningyu, and said indifferently, "You should be proud to have withstood 3 of my moves with your late Xiantian cultivation. Now let's put an end to this." The old woman with iron crutches took a step forward, and suddenly sand and stones flew, and the powerful yuan qi wave broke the small trees around them. The powerful yuan qi wave arrived in front of Ningyu at an extremely astonishing speed, and before the latter could react, it fiercely hit his chest. Because blocking the 3 moves of the old woman with iron crutches consumed too much of his energy, Ningyu had no room to resist. He could only gather the yuan qi in his sea of consciousness in his chest to form a small protective shield. Crack! The small protective shield was, after all, only a small protective shield. As soon as it was hit by the yuan qi wave, it shattered. Poochie! The huge force that came from his chest made Ningyu spit out a mouthful of red blood, and his aura was a little weak. Facing the old woman with iron crutches who was at the peak of the real martial realm, even if Ningyu used all his strength, he could only withstand 4 moves. Remember, in the next life, don't. Oh no. Raising her wrist, the old woman with iron crutches was about to strike, but her expression suddenly changed, and she could not help but retreat. Swoosh. As the old woman with iron crutches retreated, a cold light approached from afar, and appeared behind her in an instant, blocking her retreat. Old dog, how dare you offend Master Dog? No one in the world can save you. Behind the old woman with iron crutches, the black puppy retreated, and stood upright and said fiercely, "Do you want to kill yourself, or do you want me to do it? Dog?" Seeing the black puppy, the old woman with iron crutches was obviously stunned, and then she smiled and said, "I was wondering which expert it was, so it's a dog." Dark Emperor. Compared to the old woman with iron crutches, Ning Yu's reaction was much greater. The moment he saw the black puppy, the dejection on his face was swept away, replaced by excitement. "Why are you here?" The Dark Emperor raised his proud head and said casually, "If I wasn't here, wouldn't you be finished? If there's anything else, we can talk about it later. I'll deal with this old fart first." Waving his hand, the Dark Emperor interrupted Ning Yu and said, "You really know how to cause trouble for me. To think that you can even offend a pinnacle true martial realm cultivator. Pug, you want to kill me? Alright, I haven't had dog meat in a long time. I can eat braised dog meat today." The old woman on the crutch curled her lips in disdain. Then, she rolled her eyes and smiled evilly. "A dog that can talk. I'm sure the young master will be satisfied." Courting death. With a cold shout, the Dark Emperor suddenly flew into the air, and a pair of sharp claws fiercely clawed at the old woman with the iron crutch. With a cold expression, the old woman threw her walking stick forward to meet the Dark Emperor's claw. It was obvious that the old woman had underestimated the Dark Emperor's strength. The moment the crutch and the sharp claws came into contact, the Dark Emperor suddenly swung his tail and heavily whipped the old woman's arm. Letting out a scream, the old woman quickly retreated. The bloody marks on her arm caused the old woman with the crutch to fly into a rage. The aura of the great circle of the true martial realm was undoubtedly revealed, as she crazily suppressed the Dark Emperor. "You're still too young to compete with me in terms of aura." The corner of his mouth rose into an evil smile as the Dark Emperor roared towards the sky. The aura around his body instantly rushed out, suppressing the old woman with the crutch to the point where she couldn't breathe. The Dark Emperor's strength has increased again. Defeating the old woman with the iron crutch is only a matter of time. Ning Yu knew that he was safe now, so he hurriedly retreated to the side, took out a few high-grade origin crystals, circulated the spirit transformation art, and began to slowly absorb them. The fight with the old woman with the iron crutch had exhausted the Yuan Qi in Ning Yu's sea of consciousness, and he had almost lost his combat strength. Now, he could use this opportunity to recover. Rumble! Rumble! While Ning Yu was recovering, the Dark Emperor and the old woman with the iron crutch were engaged in a great battle. Yuan Qi Light Wave. The liquid Yuan Qi in the old woman's sea of consciousness poured out and blasted towards the Dark Emperor. Facing the boundless Yuan Qi that was attacking him, a strange smile appeared on the Dark Emperor's face. He then opened his mouth, and an extremely powerful suction force came out from his mouth. "This is bad." Feeling the huge suction force coming from the Dark Emperor's mouth, the old woman with the crutch's expression changed drastically. She wanted to retract the liquid Yuan Qi. Gulp. However, the old woman with the crutch was clearly half a beat too slow. A pair of purplish gold wings appeared on the Dark Emperor's back, causing his speed to increase explosively. In an instant, he swallowed the old woman with the crutch's liquid Yuan Qi into his mouth. After swallowing the liquid Yuan Qi, the Dark Emperor burped and said, "Great nourishment, truly great nourishment." If I have another 100 of these liquid yuan qi for me to devour, I'm afraid I can complete the first stage of evolution. Run. The moment the liquid yuan qi was devoured by the Dark Emperor, the old woman with the crutch completely lost the courage to resist. Her feet touched the ground and she used all her strength to escape. However, how could she, who had lost her liquid yuan qi, be faster than the Dark Emperor? Without much effort, the Dark Emperor grabbed the old woman with the crutch and threw her in front of Ningyu. Speak, you decide how to deal with her. There's no use in keeping her. Kill her. Frowning slightly, Ningyu said. Wait, I still want to ask her a question. After thinking for a while, before Ningyu could finish his sentence, he saw the Dark Emperor grab the old woman with the crutch's walking stick and smash it towards the old woman's head. With a raise of the crutch, the old woman with the crutch was smashed to death by her own crutch. And Ningyu, why didn't you say so earlier? Looking at the old woman with the crutch who was lying on the ground, the Dark Emperor threw the crutch on the ground and said, It's too late now, this old bastard has already gone to see the King of Hell. Forget it, I don't have any big problems. Originally, Ningyu wanted to ask the old woman with the crutch about the young master, but since she had been killed, there was no need to ask. This crutch is not bad, it should be a low-grade heaven-rank magic treasure. Picking up the crutch on the ground and putting it into his storage ring, Ningyu said, It's a waste not to take it. Up to you, I don't need any crutches anyway. Shrugging, the Dark Emperor threw the small turtle shell to Ningyu and said, This turtle shell should also be yours. I can feel a trace of your aura on it. Putting the small turtle shell into his storage ring, Ningyu asked, Dark Emperor, why are you here? Also, didn't you go to investigate the location of the corpse sect's headquarters? How is the investigation going? The people of the corpse sect are extremely sinister and cunning. They must have hidden their headquarters. When the corpse sect was mentioned, the Dark Emperor suddenly became angry. After searching for several days, he still couldn't find any information about the corpse sect's headquarters. Chapter 144. Secret Base. Raising his brows, Ningyu asked doubtfully, What secret base? Where did you find it? In the process of investigating the corpse sect's headquarters, I found a corpse sect early-stage true martial realm martial artist who was behaving abnormally. Speaking of the secret base, the Dark Emperor was somewhat proud and said, every 2 days, he would purchase some things from Bright King City and then send them to the secret base. Do you know what's in the secret base? Ningyu asked. I'm not too sure about that. Slightly embarrassed, the Dark Emperor said, but it doesn't matter. With my strength, even if I force my way into the secret base, it won't be a big problem. Although he didn't know what was in the secret base, the Dark Emperor had already investigated it. The secret base was in a cave not far away, and there was a formation at the entrance. Every 2 days, the true martial realm early-stage martial artist would enter the cave, and at that time, the formation would be opened, which was also the best time for them to enter the cave. Dark Emperor, we can't be careless about this matter. Let's make sure that there are no mistakes before we act. Ningyu knew how sinister the corpse sect was, so he decided to investigate thoroughly before entering the cave. If there was an Origin Core Realm expert in the cave, then their gains would not make up for their losses. I don't care. Since you want to investigate, do as you please. Shrugging, the Dark Emperor said, Today is the day that the corpse sect early-stage true martial realm martial artist goes to the cave. I can capture him and let you interrogate him. Alright, let's do that. Nodding his head, Ningyu said, Follow me. In the next moment, the Dark Emperor kicked the ground and rushed into the distance. Following closely behind, Ningyu chased after him. Rustle! In the dense shrubs, 2 figures were lying on the ground. Emperor of the Dark World, when will the person you mentioned come over? Ningyu followed the Dark Emperor to the bushes and hid inside. However, after hiding inside for more than half a day, not even a shadow was seen. Ningyu couldn't help but say, "Don't miscalculate the time. Is he not coming today? Don't be in such a hurry, wait a bit more." The Dark Emperor was rather relaxed. He laid in the shrubbery, closing his eyes to rest, not minding at all. Helpless, Ningyu could only choose to wait quietly. Crack, crack. In the evening, the sound of a few branches being stepped on could be heard. Then, the Dark Emperor suddenly opened his eyes and said in a low voice, "He's here." Not long after the Dark Emperor spoke, two silhouettes appeared nearby. Two people? Looking at the two figures in the distance, Ningyu was slightly stunned and then said, "Emperor Dark, didn't you say that there was only one person? Why are there two of them now and—" At this point, Ningyu paused for a moment and continued, "One of them had a 5th grade soul force. If I'm not wrong, he should be an alchemist. I don't know what's going on either." The Dark Emperor was also a little puzzled. The previous few times, he had come alone. As for why there were two people today, he did not understand either. Who cares about one or two of them? Let's capture them first. After a brief moment of doubt, the Emperor of Darkness wanted to step forward, but he was pressed to the ground by Ningyu. "Don't move, I know one of them. Mu Tuo, a Tier 5 alchemist." Taking a deep breath, Ningyu said in a deep voice, "3 days ago, Mu Tuo's soul strength was only at the 4th level, and had yet to recover to the 5th level. In just 3 short days, his soul strength had already recovered to the 5th level. There must be something strange about this." Ningyu knew that the soul nourishment method he had given Mu Tuo was only the first half, and was completely insufficient for Mu Tuo to recover his soul strength to the 5th level in 3 days, or even improve. From this, it could be seen that there was definitely an extraordinary secret in the cave. "You mean, there are martial artists with powerful soul strength in the cave?" The Dark Emperor was not stupid, but very smart. As soon as Ningyu's voice fell, he reacted. However, the Dark Emperor was obviously impatient, and said, "Ningyu, although that Mu Tuo's soul strength has reached the 5th level, his cultivation is very low, only at the early stage of the true martial realm. Why don't I capture them and interrogate them?" "No hurry, we'll talk about it later." Ningyu concealed his aura and said slowly, "The two of them are just martial artists in the early stage of the true martial realm. With your strength, you can easily kill them. How about this, I will temporarily enter the storage ring. When you enter the cave, call me out." With that, the Dark Emperor turned into a shadow and entered the storage ring. Swoosh! When the Dark Emperor entered the storage ring, far away, Mu Tuo raised his eyebrows and said to the one-eyed martial artist next to him, "Did you notice anything wrong?" "Something wrong? Master Mu Tuo, I didn't notice anything wrong." The one-eyed martial artist was puzzled. Although the one-eyed martial artist's cultivation was at the early stage of the true martial realm, his soul strength was relatively weak. If even Mu Tuo could not sense it, he naturally could not notice it. "Forget it, telling you is useless." Mu Tuo released a little of his soul strength and probed the situation around him. After a while, he withdrew his soul strength and said indifferently, "Has Master Ling's condition improved in the past 2 days?" Master Ling's soul strength has recovered to the middle stage of the 5th level, only a step away from the late stage of the 5th level. The one-eyed martial artist did not dare to be negligent and said hurriedly, "This time, the sect sent a large number of herbs, and gave us a strict order to help Master Ling recover his soul strength to the 6th level." Mu Tuo said solemnly, "How is the defense of the cave?" "Master Mu Tuo, there is a 10-killing formation at the entrance of the cave. Even a martial artist at the middle stage of the true martial realm may not be able to break in," the one-eyed martial artist replied. "Moreover, there are many corpse guards in the cave, and there are many traps. Unless you are a martial artist at the peak of the true martial realm, even if you enter the cave, you will die." "Not enough. Hearing the one-eyed martial artist's words, Mu Tuo pondered for a moment, then flicked his sleeve, and a black token appeared in his hand. We must ensure Master Ling's safety. Take my 5-star token and head to Bright King City as fast as possible. Mobilize all the forces of the Corpse Insect in Bright King City. Originally, Mu Tuo did not intend to mobilize such a large force, but a trace of trembling in the depths of his soul made him raise his guard. After all, if something happened to Master Ling, he would also have to bear the consequences. Yes, Master Mu Tuo. After receiving the black token from Mu Tuo's hand, the one-eyed martial artist's figure flashed, and he returned the way he came. As for Mu Tuo, he stood in the same place for a while, then moved his feet and disappeared in the blink of an eye. After confirming that Mu Tuo was far away, Ningyu came out of the bushes. After coming out, Ningyu did not linger. His soul moved, and the phantom armor appeared. Xiao. Chapter 145. Whoosh. The speed of the phantom armor was enough to catch up with a martial artist at the peak of the middle stage of the true martial realm. The one-eyed martial artist was only at the early stage of the true martial realm, so after a while, Ningyu caught up with him. Brat, what are you trying to do? Seeing Ningyu, the one-eyed martial artist narrowed his eyes and said coldly, If you know what's good for you, leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, I'll teach you a lesson. Teisho Kenpo. After catching up with the one-eyed martial artist, Ningyu did not waste any time. Instead, he waved the soul-severing sword and attacked with a sword wave. Chi-chi. The sword wave was so fast that it even created a sizzling sound as it rubbed against the air. In the next moment, the sword wave hit the one-eyed martial artist's chest. The huge impact caused the one-eyed martial artist to retreat several feet. Xiao. With his attack successful, Ningyu rushed out with the soul-severing sword in his hand, arriving in front of the one-eyed martial artist in the blink of an eye. Pointing the soul-severing sword at the one-eyed martial artist's neck, Ningyu said lightly, Answer a few questions of mine. After I answer your questions, will you let me go? After a short fight, the one-eyed martial artist had already determined that the gap between him and Ningyu was huge. You have no choice. The soul-severing sword slightly pierced into the one-eyed martial artist's skin. Ningyu said, First question, what is in the cave? Master Ling is in the cave. The one-eyed martial artist said carefully, Master Ling is a 6th-grade alchemist. He is very powerful. Second question, how can I enter the cave without triggering the 10 killings array? Ningyu continued. The 10 killings array has an array eye. As long as you find the array eye and close it, you will not trigger the 10 killings array. The one-eyed martial artist rolled his eyes and said, Where is the array eye? Ningyu asked. Come closer and I will tell you where the array eye is. The one-eyed martial artist said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Ningyu was stunned. He then moved closer to the one-eyed martial artist. Xiao. However, when Ningyu was 30 centimeters away from the one-eyed martial artist, the one-eyed martial artist suddenly jumped up and shot out a silver needle from his sleeve, fiercely stabbing at Ningyu's head. Humph! I already expected you to use this move. How could I let you succeed? Ding! With a cold snort, Ningyu waved the soul-breaking sword in his hand and cut the silver needle in half. Desolation palm. After that, Ningyu's soul power gathered in his palm. He pushed out his palm, and a human-shaped palm print appeared, gradually expanding in the one-eyed warrior's eyes. In the end, it fiercely slammed down. The one-eyed cultivator screamed like a pig being slaughtered. The one-eyed cultivator's mouth gaped open, and the horror in his eyes intensified. Until the moment of his death, he did not understand how Ningyu had discovered his sneak attack. My soul power is much stronger than yours. I have already discovered the silver needles hidden in your sleeve. Shrugging his shoulders, Ningyu started searching the one-eyed warrior's body. Soon, a black token appeared in Ning Yu's hand. 5 skulls. Seeing the 5 skulls on the token, Ning Yu was a little shocked. When he first heard Mu Tuo's words, he thought the black token would have 5 stars. Who would have thought that there were 5 skulls on the token? Without thinking too much, Ning Yu put the black token into his interspatial ring and said with a frown, "Although I killed the one-eyed martial artist and cut off the connection between Mu Tuo and the corpse insect, the 10-killing array is still a problem. I wonder if the Dark Emperor has a way to break the 10-killing array." Thinking of this, Ning Yu inserted his soul power into his interspatial ring and called out the Dark Emperor. "Didn't I tell you to call me when you enter the cave?" After coming out, the Dark Emperor looked left and right. When he found that he was not in front of the cave, he was a little unhappy and muttered, "My sweet dream was ruined by you just like that. If you have something to say, spit it out. I still need to find my Ahua." Hearing the Dark Emperor's words, Ning Yu's face darkened. It seemed that he had disturbed the Dark Emperor's daydream. However, Ning Yu didn't have time to argue with the Dark Emperor. He went straight to the point and said, "Dark Emperor, you've been to the cave several times. Do you have a way to break the 10-killing array?" 10-killing array? That kind of low-level array can't stop me. The Dark Emperor patted his chest and said, "When the time comes, you can follow behind me. I'll bring you into the cave. Also, don't disturb me with such trivial matters in the future. I'll go in and sleep for a while. You can go into the cave first." With that, the Dark Emperor was about to enter the interspatial ring. "Dark Emperor, what I mean is, can you enter the cave without anyone noticing?" Ning Yu was a little speechless. "Under the premise that you don't trigger the 10-killing array." Indeed, with the Dark Emperor's strength, forcefully tearing apart the defense of the 10-killing array was not a difficult task. But the key point was that they did not understand the situation in the cave. If the people inside were to be alerted and escape through the small path, wouldn't their efforts be in vain? After telling the Dark Emperor about the worries in his heart, the Dark Emperor also fell into deep thought. After a moment, the Dark Emperor said, "It's not impossible to enter the cave without anyone noticing." "What method?" Ning Yu asked. "I'll transform into my main body and devour the 10-killing array." The Dark Emperor's words shocked everyone to death. The moment he spoke, Ning Yu was shocked to the point that his face was filled with stupefaction. Devouring 10-killing array? Perhaps only the Dark Emperor could think of such a bold idea. "Dark Emperor, can you be more practical?" Ning Yu was a little speechless as he said. "The 10-killing array is set up at the entrance of the cave, covering the entire entrance." Spreading out his hands, the Dark Emperor said, "Every time the one-eyed martial artist enters the cave, there will be 2 martial artists in the early stage of the true martial realm coming out of the cave and temporarily sealing the formation core from the inside. If we stand in front of the cave, I'm afraid the warriors inside will come out and fight us to the death." Shrugging, the Dark Emperor said casually, "One-eyed warrior. That's right. One-eyed warrior." Hearing the Dark Emperor's words, Ning Yu revealed a look of joy and hurriedly said, "I can pretend to be a one-eyed warrior and then enter the cave." "The heck? Ning Yu, when did you become so smart?" The Dark Emperor looked at Ning Yu as if he was looking at a monster, revealing an exaggerated expression. "Cut the crap, pretend to be a one-eyed warrior, I need your help." Waving his hand, Ning Yu said, "How can I help you? All I can do is start a massacre after entering the cave." Curling his lips, the Dark Emperor said, "I've learned the art of disguise before, so it's not difficult to imitate a one-eyed warrior. It's just that I don't have some medicinal herbs at the moment, so I need you to go to the nearest city to help me get them." In his previous life, Ning Yu had learned a lot of things, and he had naturally dabbled in techniques like the art of disguise. However, as the saying goes, a clever housewife can't cook without rice. Even if he had learned the art of disguise, without the medicinal herbs, it would be impossible for Ning Yu to become a one-eyed warrior. Looking at Ningyu, the Dark Emperor felt a little helpless and said, "All right, tell me what medicinal herbs you need, I'll help you find them." Human face grass, leg flower, Ju-di flower, smoke leaf. After receiving the Dark Emperor's confirmation, Ningyu listed out more than a dozen medicinal herbs. What kind of messy medicinal herbs are these? Just you wait, I'll go give it a try. Whether or not I can find it will be up to the heavens. After grumbling, the Dark Emperor's figure flashed, and he left the place. The medicinal herbs that Ningyu had named were all the most ordinary first-grade medicinal herbs, and there were many of them on the market. Chapter 146. In a dark stone chamber, two people were conversing. "Master Ling, this is the spirit lotus seed that the sect asked me to bring. I hope that it can help you recover your soul strength to grade 6. After parting ways with the one-eyed cultivator, Mu Tuo rushed to the cave. After all, the sect had given him an order to restore Master Ling to his peak as soon as possible. Mu Tuo did not dare to delay. The spirit lotus seed is a grade 7 medicinal herb. It is incomparably precious. I will not let the sect down. Master Lung was around 70 years old. His hair was white, his eyes were bright, and his aura was steady. Taking the storage pouch from Mu Tuo, Master Ling probed it with his soul strength. A moment later, he nodded his head in satisfaction. Not bad, there are 3 spirit lotus seeds. Furthermore, there are many other medicinal herbs that can recover soul strength. With these medicinal herbs, I should be able to recover my soul strength to grade 6 in 3 days. Taking a deep breath, Master Lung's eyes glowed. Pass down my order. Without my permission, no one is to enter this stone chamber. Yes. Mu Tuo replied and left the stone chamber. Master Mu Tuo, someone wants to enter the cave. As soon as Mu Tuo left the stone chamber, a corpse guard walked up and said, "Do you want to, who? Who wants to enter at this time?" Mu Tuo interrupted the corpse guard with a frown. "One-eyed cultivator," the corpse guard replied. As Mu Tuo had said that anyone who entered the cave would have to go through his permission, the corpse guard did not dare to let the one-eyed cultivator in. One-eyed cultivator? Didn't he head to Bright King City? Why is he back so soon? Mu Tuo frowned doubtfully. Logically speaking, no matter how fast the one-eyed cultivator was, he should be in Bright King City at this time. Let's go and take a look. Since there was nothing for him to do here, Mu Tuo decided to take a look to see what the one-eyed cultivator was up to. Master Ling's safety had to be guaranteed. If the one-eyed cultivator dared to spoil his plans, Mu Tuo did not mind teaching him a lesson. Shwa, shwa. The stone chamber was not too far from the entrance of the cave. A few minutes later, Mu Tuo arrived at the entrance. "One-eyed cultivator, didn't you go to Bright King City?" When he saw the familiar figure standing outside the cave, Mu Tuo said in a low voice, "Why have you returned so quickly?" "Grandmaster Mu Tuo, I have something urgent to report to you." Outside the cave, the one-eyed martial artist had an anxious look on his face as he hurriedly said, "I've received definite news that someone will launch an attack on this base." Hearing this, Mu Tuo was startled and asked, "Who dares to attack the corpse sex base?" "Grandmaster Mu Tuo, this. I've only just heard about this." The one-eyed cultivator was obviously very anxious, and he even stuttered a little. "I brought your 5-star token to Bright King City. Halfway there, I was lucky enough to overhear a conversation between 2 powerhouses. They were going to attack this base." With that, the one-eyed martial artist flicked his wrist and a black 5-star token appeared in his hand. "According to my conjecture, their strength is at least at the middle stage of the true martial realm. I did not dare to be negligent and immediately returned to inform you. Control the formation core and let the one-eyed martial artist in." Although he was somewhat doubtful, Mu Tuo still ordered the corpse guards to control the formation core and let the one-eyed martial artist enter the cave. However, he secretly made a mark with his right hand behind his back. As this mark was made, the void in the cave faintly trembled. Whoosh! The one-eyed martial artist did not know what Mu Tuo was doing. Seeing that the formation core was under control, his face lit up with joy and he leaped into the cave. Grandmaster Mu Tuo, this is your 5-star token. After entering the cave, the one-eyed martial artist immediately handed the black token to Mu Tuo. Putting away the black token, Mu Tuo said indifferently, "Well, tell me what those two martial artists said." Grandmaster Mu Tuo, those two martial artists? Not good. However, before the one-eyed martial artist could finish speaking, his expression changed dramatically and he hurriedly retreated several steps. Whoosh! As the one-eyed martial artist retreated, a large number of corpse guards suddenly rushed out from behind Mu Tuo. The strength of these corpse guards was between the early and middle stages of the true martial realm, and there were 20 to 30 of them. Moreover, the corpse guard at the very front had strength comparable to a peak middle stage true martial realm martial artist. Did they discover me? Ning Yu's heart trembled, and the origin chi in his sea of consciousness surged slightly. However, he did not immediately attack. He believed that his disguise technique was superb, and with Mu Tuo's eyesight, he would definitely not discover him. Mu Tuo slowly retreated to the middle of the corpse guards and said indifferently, "One-eyed martial artist, I'll give you a chance. Tell me what happened." "Grandmaster Mu Tuo, I don't understand what you're saying." Hearing Mu Tuo's words, Ning Yu calmed down. Since Mu Tuo had not discovered that the real one-eyed martial artist was dead, there was a need for him to continue acting. With an angry expression, Ning Yu said, "Everything I said is the truth. Even if I see Grandmaster Ling, I will say the same thing." "Haha, you want to see Grandmaster Ling, right? I'll fulfill your wish." Mu Tuo smiled and waved his hand. 2 corpse guards stepped forward, one on each side of Ning Yu. "Grandmaster Ling is currently in seclusion. You will only be able to see him when he comes out," Mu Tuo said. "As for now, I'll have to trouble you for now. Bring him to the last stone chamber." The 2 corpse guards brought Ning Yu into the depths of the cave. 10 minutes later, Ning Yu was brought to the door of a stone chamber. Clang! One of the corpse guards opened the heavy stone door and brought Ning Yu in. "One-eyed martial artist, wait here for now." At the door of the stone chamber, Mu Tuo hesitated for a moment before saying, "As for your innocence, I will investigate it thoroughly." Mu Tuo instructed, "Look after the stone chamber. Without my permission, don't let a fly out. It seems that I will have to make a trip to Bright Ruler City personally." Frowning slightly, Mu Tuo felt that there was something fishy about this matter. Taking a deep breath, he walked out of the cave. Whoosh! Inside the stone chamber, the Dark Emperor suddenly rushed out from his spatial ring. "Ning Yu, why didn't you let me make a move just now? Against these small fries, I can kill them with a flick of my finger." The Dark Emperor was clearly a little unhappy as he grumbled. "Dark Emperor, Mu Tuo was only suspicious of me. He didn't guess that the one-eyed martial artist had already been killed by us." Ning Yu said, "Since this cave is the corpse sex base, there must be some formations and powerful cultivators inside. If we act rashly, we might alert them." "Then tell me, what should we do now?" the Dark Emperor said. We are currently in the depths of the cave. Why don't you use your advantage and find out which stone chamber that Grandmaster Ling is in?" Chapter 147. Swish. Hearing Ning Yu's words, the Dark Emperor flapped his purplish gold wings and floated in the air. Staring at Ning Yu with interest, the Dark Emperor's eyes revealed a hint of admiration. Not bad at all. I didn't expect you to be so smart." "I'm going to faint." Rolling his eyes, Ning Yu said, "Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and find Master Ling's stone room. I'm afraid Mu Tuo will go to Bright Ruler City to call for reinforcements. Humph. Why would I be afraid of his reinforcements? The Dark Emperor snorted and said angrily, If one comes, I'll kill one. If two come, I'll kill a pair. Come, all right, I know you're strong. Ningyu interrupted the Dark Emperor and said, Do you still want to go to the corpse sex treasure vault? If you do, then hurry up and do it. As long as we find Master Ling, not only will we be able to obtain treasures and pills, we can even force him to tell us where the corpse sex headquarters is. Facing the Dark Emperor, Ningyu could only use provocation. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? As expected, the Dark Emperor was provoked. He quickly unleashed his perception and began to search for Master Ling's location. In fact, Ningyu's perception was not weak. After all, his soul force had reached the middle phase of the 4th grade. However, Ningyu did not unleash his soul force because he didn't know how much Master Ling had recovered. If he attracted Master Ling's attention, it would not be worth it. The Dark Emperor was different. He was from the Heaven-Devouring Hound clan. The clan had a unique perception method. Even if Master Ling's soul force had recovered to the 6th grade, it would still be difficult for him to discover him. Buzz. 1 minute later, the Dark Emperor withdrew his perception. His lips curled up as he said to Ningyu, I found him. There is a cultivator with a strong soul energy in a secret room 30 meters away from us. If I am not wrong, he should be Master Ling. 30 meters? Ningyu did not doubt the Dark Emperor's judgment, but 30 meters was not a good distance for them to cross. After thinking for a moment, Ningyu said, Dark Emperor, does your heaven-devouring dog clan know how to burrow? A distance of 30 meters was neither long nor short. With the speed of Ningyu and the Dark Emperor, it would only take a moment for them to arrive. However, Ningyu was worried that they would trigger the hidden array and alert the enemy. Then all their efforts would be in vain. F***CK. As soon as Ningyu finished speaking, the Emperor of the Dark World couldn't help but curse. Dig a hole? You actually want the Dark Emperor to dig a hole? How unreasonable. Only rats can dig holes. If you want to dig a hole, do it yourself. I won't help you. Wait. Dark Emperor, what did you just say? Ningyu asked with a deep frown. Go dig a hole yourself. I won't help you. The previous sentence. Only rats can dig holes. That's right. Ningyu slapped his thigh and said happily, Rats, this is great. Then, Ningyu activated his soul force and summoned the Phantom Armor. The Phantom Armor is the treasure of the Phantom Rat clan. Not only can it fly in the air, but it can also walk underground. Ningyu said, Dark Emperor, tell me where Master Ling is and I will take you there. Why didn't you take it out earlier? With a flash, the Dark Emperor entered the storage ring. That stone room is 31 meters east. Understood. After putting away the storage ring, Ningyu wrapped his soul force around the Phantom Armor and suddenly leaped into the air. Then, he dived into the ground with his head facing downward. Chi. After entering the underground, Ningyu first drilled downwards. He only stopped after traveling for several dozen meters. Then, he turned his head and drilled towards the east. After all, this was the territory of the corpse insect. To be safe, Ningyu felt that it was worth it even if it took a little more time. Crack. However, after moving 10 meters east, Ningyu encountered an obstacle. His head hit something hard. What? After stabilizing his body, Ningyu looked around. He saw a fist-sized object 1 meter in front of him that was emitting a scorching light. Essence-gathering stone? Seeing the body of the glowing object, Ningyu slightly frowned and said with some doubt, Essence-gathering stones are usually used to arrange essence-gathering arrays. They are extremely precious. Why would there be one here? Then, Ningyu slightly released his soul force, trying to get closer to the essence-gathering stone. However, as soon as his soul force spread out, Ningyu took a deep breath and then revealed an ecstatic expression. Essence Gathering Array. It must be the Essence Gathering Array. What a big move. The corpse insect is really big. Ningyu found that there was a steady stream of pure essence chi flowing around the essence gathering stone. This essence chi came from 3 directions and was all injected into the essence gathering stone. Then, it moved eastward. Once again releasing his soul force, Ningyu carefully controlled it to move around. About 15 minutes later, Ningyu withdrew his soul force back into his body. He took a deep breath and murmured, "There are 9 other essence gathering stones around this essence gathering stone. If I didn't guess wrong, the essence gathering stone 20 meters to the east should be the eye of the essence gathering formation. All the essence chi is revolving around it. 20 meters east is the bottom of the stone room where Masterling is." Frowning, Ningyu thought of a countermeasure. The amount of essence gathering array that was arranged with 10 essence gathering stones was extremely shocking. With such a huge amount of essence chi, Ningyu definitely did not want to miss it. First, find the core of the array, then think of a way. With a serious expression, Ningyu took out the phantom armor and slowly moved toward the core of the array. The distance of 20 meters took Ningyu half an hour to cover. I was right. This essence gathering stone is the core of the essence gathering array. Looking at the 2 fist-sized essence gathering stones in front of him, Ningyu's face turned serious. This was because he realized that the essence chi that was gathered by the essence gathering stone was rising continuously. Its final destination was the stone room where Masterling was. I have to think of a way to get this pure essence chi. Looking at the essence chi that was disappearing in front of him, Ningyu clenched his fists and took out the black dragon pouch. The black dragon pouch was a heaven-level lower-grade artifact that Ningyu had obtained from Zhang Jin. Although it was slightly damaged, it did not affect its power. Absorb it! As soon as he opened the black dragon pouch, a strong suction force gushed out and endless essence chi began to enter the black dragon pouch. I'm absorbing 1/10 of the essence chi. Nodding his head in satisfaction, Ningyu concentrated and did not dare to relax at all. The essence gathering array was gathering a lot of essence chi. Although the suction force of the black dragon pouch was strong, 90% of the essence chi still rose continuously and entered the stone room where Masterling was. Swoosh! However, not long after the black dragon pouch started to absorb the essence chi, a cold ray of light shot out from Ningyu's body. Then, a terrifying suction force emerged and sucked away all the essence chi around the essence gathering stone. Chapter 148. The sudden change made Ningyu's expression change drastically as he looked towards the source of the cold light. The pendant. Soon, Ningyu discovered the true identity of the cold light. It was none other than the semicircular blue pendant given to him by Ninghai. This pendant has such a strong suction force. Could it be a spatial magical equipment? Ningyu knew that the blue pendant was a magical equipment that could devour souls. But he did not expect the pendant to be able to devour vitality. Moreover, its speed was several times faster than the heaven lower-grade black dragon pouch. My father told me to hand the pendant to the old man named Wu Xie when I arrive at Danwu College. Frowning slightly, Ningyu muttered, "Fine, I'd like to see if it can devour all the yuan qi gathered by the essence gathering formation." Since the pendant could absorb vitality at an extremely fast speed, Ningyu simply put the black dragon pouch into his storage ring and released his soul power to monitor his surroundings closely. The stone chamber where Masterling was in was the focus of Ningyu's attention. The vitality gathering formation was supposed to send the vitality gathering formation to Masterling's stone chamber. Now that the pendant had intercepted all the vitality gathering formation, Masterling would not let it go easily. Therefore, Ningyu dared not be careless. If there was any movement, he would immediately retrieve the pendant and quickly enter the stone chamber where Master Lung was, allowing the Dark Emperor to control Master Lung. At the same time, in the stone chamber above Ningyu, Master Lung sat on a circular altar. With a thought, a spiritual lotus seed appeared in his hand. Looking at the spiritual lotus seed in his hand, Master Lung was overjoyed. He opened his mouth wide and swallowed it. Buzz. As soon as the spiritual lotus seed entered his stomach, Master Lung quickly controlled his soul power to approach it and refined it with all his might. The 7th grade medicinal herb, the spiritual lotus seed, was a sacred medicine that could recover one's soul force. Although it was much weaker than the crystal jade pill, 3 spiritual lotus seeds were enough to heal the damage to Master Lung's soul. 15 minutes later, Master Ling's eyes slightly narrowed as he slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Advanced Grade 5. A single spiritual lotus seed has already restored my soul force to the Advanced Grade 5. The remaining 2 spiritual lotus seeds and many other soul force recovery herbs will definitely be able to restore my soul force to the Advanced Grade 5. Subsequently, Master Lung swallowed the remaining 2 spiritual lotus seeds. Master Lung revealed a painful expression after swallowing the 2 spiritual lotus seeds. Pure Yuan Qi. However, Master Lung suddenly slammed his palm on the altar beneath him, causing a pillar of primal Qi to appear and enter his body. As the majestic vital energy entered his body, Master Lung did not dare to be negligent. He quickly circulated his spell and controlled the vital energy to envelop the spiritual lotus seed. Refine. The sudden increase in vital energy in his body gave Master Lung great confidence. He gathered all of his Grade 5 soul force around the spiritual lotus seed and pressed it down hard. With the combination of his advanced Grade 5 soul force and the majestic vital energy, the 2 spiritual lotus seeds were refined in no time. The medicinal efficacy of the refined spiritual lotus seeds slowly circulated around Master Lung's body and eventually intertwined with his soul force. Pinnacle Grade 5. Early Grade 6. In just a few minutes, Master Lung had restored his soul force to the early Grade 6. After that, Master Lung did not continue to restore his soul force. Instead, he circulated his spell and began to absorb the pure vital energy in the altar. Now that my soul force has recovered to the Advanced Grade 6, I can finally absorb the vital energy in the altar without any scruples. Master Lung smirked as his eyes were filled with passion. Due to the severe damage to his soul force, Master Lung's strength had dropped to the early grade true martial realm. The vital energy in his sea of consciousness was lacking. Now that his soul force had recovered a little, he could not wait to restore his strength. Whoosh! The vital energy in the altar was accumulated by the vitality gathering array over a long period of time, so there was a lot of it. Although Master Lung was absorbing the vital energy with all his might, the rate of the vital energy reduction was still not obvious. Pinnacle Grade Early Grade True Martial Realm, Intermediate Grade True Martial Realm, Peak Grade Middle Grade True Martial Realm. An hour later, Master Lung's cultivation base had recovered to the Peak Grade Middle Grade True Martial Realm. He was only a step away from the Advanced Grade True Martial Realm. Absorb it! Master Lung let out a low grunt and released all his soul force to absorb the vital energy in the altar crazily. Crack! After another 15 minutes, when Master Lung's cultivation base was about to recover to the Advanced Grade True Martial Realm, the altar suddenly let out a cracking sound. What's going on? Master Lung retracted his soul force and looked at the altar below him. Master Lung's mouth was slightly agape and his eyes were wide open. Disbelief was written all over his face. This was because he discovered 2 things that he could not accept. Firstly, there were fine cracks around the altar, and the cracks were constantly expanding. Secondly, the vital energy in the altar had disappeared as if it had seen a ghost. Oh no! There must be something wrong with the vitality gathering array. Master Lung was not stupid. He immediately thought of the vitality-gathering array. The vital energy gathered by the vitality-gathering array was all stored in the altar. Now that the vital energy in the altar had disappeared, it was highly likely that there was something wrong with the vitality-gathering array. With that thought in mind, Master Ling extended his soul force and went underground along the altar. Oh no! As soon as Master Ling's soul force entered the altar, Ningyu realized that something was wrong. In a flash, he grabbed the pendant in his hand and threw it into his storage ring. Full speed ahead. With his soul force attached to the phantom armor, Ningyu unleashed his speed to the maximum. Before Master Ling could react, he had already entered the stone room that he was in. Who's there? The sudden change made Master Ling's pupils shrink, and he quickly retracted his soul force back into his body. Looking at the skinny figure standing in front of him, Master Ling scolded, "How dare you barge into my room? Early grade 6 soul force?" Ningyu did not answer Master Ling's question. Instead, he stared at him and said with a frown, "I didn't expect your soul force to have recovered to the early grade 6. You're courting death." Master Ling did not expect Ningyu to be so arrogant and not take him seriously at all. With a low grunt, Master Ling rose from the ground, and the true martial realm's vital energy in his sea of consciousness surged out and wrapped around his fist. He then threw a punch at Ningyu. Tsk. Master Ling's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Ningyu and used his fist that contained violent vital energy to smash at Ningyu's head. Facing such a fierce attack from Master Ling, Ningyu stood at the same spot. There was no panic in his eyes at all. Instead, the corner of his lips curled up into an evil smile. "You can still smile when you're about to die? I'm really impressed." Master Ling was even more furious when he saw Ningyu's reaction. However, before he could finish his sentence, his pupils shrank and his body retreated backward. Master Ling only managed to stabilize himself after he retreated to the edge of the stone room. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.